I did the search on Edward Snowden's house. Kash Patel is the worst. And everyone's like, what do you think of John Kiriakou?
What are your thoughts on Kash Patel?
Kash Patel is the worst FBI director in the
You said this last time.
in the 125 years of the FBI.
He said it 6 months ago, and you said within a week or two he's gone.
It is nothing short of a miracle that guy is still in office, but I feel like he's getting to the end of the road.
What's his like credentials or like to get this role in the first place?
He wrote a children's book about President Trump being king. And he wrote a nonfiction book about all the people that should be prosecuted, called Government Gangsters, for being against President Trump. And President Trump correctly believes that the FBI was out to get him. Now, whether under previous directors, and he wanted to make sure he got an absolute moron and sycophant at the FBI who would not open up any investigations targeting him, and he got what he paid for. The problem is, though, that President Trump, whether you like him or hate him, deserves to have a good FBI director, and he currently does not. He has an incredibly ineffective and embarrassing FBI director who's a drunk, who's corrupt, who's using FBI resources to fly his girlfriend around and take his girlfriend's friends home when they get drunk at bars in Nashville, and a protective detail for his girlfriend, and him to go to the Olympics and drink beer and get drunk and act like a fool with the Olympic hockey team. And he's just a terrible director. The good news, though, is
Don't sugarcoat it.
The good news, though, is that 13,000 FBI agents get off their asses, knock on doors. They're working in the 55 field offices, and they really don't care. And the FBI director and the president do not impact their day-to-day life. I served under 4 or 5 different presidents, 4 or 5 different directors. It never mattered one iota to me who they were, because my job was to investigate crimes in the field. And the nonsense and the politics that happens at headquarters may impact the reputation of the FBI and make my job more difficult, but it didn't impact what I did on a day-to-day basis, which is fighting hard to keep Americans safe. And that's the way the 13,000 FBI agents in the field feel right now. And they disagree about a lot of things, but the one thing they all agree upon is that Kash Patel is a moron and an embarrassment, and the world will be a safer place with him out of the FBI.
Tom, is Snowden a hero or traitor?
I did the search on Edward Snowden's house. He was in Hawaii when he committed his fraud,
Fraud.
His theft.
Yeah.
Okay, right. So
yeah.
he was stationed. He was a contractor with the NSA in Hawaii, not terribly far from where I lived. I didn't know him personally. And then he steals a bunch of secrets about the NSA spying program, which involves spying on U.S. citizens, and he was offended by that and stole that data and a bunch of other data. He takes off initially to Hong Kong, and then he does an interview with 60 Minutes, some online, television show that was going to be airing on a Sunday night. We received word about it. We get a search warrant from his house. So as the show is airing, and the first time anyone had ever heard the name Edward Snowden, I was in his house searching through his stuff.
Ooh, this is a good question.
Yeah. And so he had pretty much emptied his house by that point. But we needed to do the search to make sure
he knew what was coming.
Yeah, sure. I mean, and he, like John Kiriakou, had made a ethical choice to do something which is technically illegal because he had the actions of the federal U.S. government weighed heavily on his conscience. Mm-hmm. The difference between Kiriakou and Snowden is that Kiriakou owned up to it, pled guilty, did his time, and has moved on. Snowden has decided to make himself a fugitive for the past, 15 years at this point, and not face the music or have the courage of his convictions to come back and say, what I did was right, and I did it for all the right reasons. I'd like a jury of 12 to talk about whether this is right or wrong. Do I think it would be a travesty of justice for President Trump or any president to pardon Edward Snowden? No. I think based on the pardons that Trump has given out, this one would be a no-brainer.
And you're saving the full in-depth story for Diary of the CEO somewhere?
You've pretty much heard the story. And that's it. There's not much.
Drag it out. You could drag it out 5 minutes.
Yeah.
I mean, it wasn't like I was this pivotal part of the investigation. I'm
sure they can clickbait it.
I was unskilled labor on the search of his house, and there was nothing there. He didn't have classified documents like papering his walls or anything like that.
Listen, when Colby's guys clip this up, you're going to be the lead investigator. You're going to broke the whole thing.
You know how paranoid I am at the idea of me taking credit for another person's investigation. I was not the case agent.
So what do you think about John Kiriakou?
I did not know who John Kiriakou was until I started doing lives on my Instagram and TikTok at Simon Investigations. And everyone's like, "You look like John Kiriakou. Who's John? Like, what do you think of John Kiriakou?" And I would always say, "I don't know who that is." And I'm sorry, I wasn't being a dick. I just didn't know who that was. And so finally, I'd been asked that question maybe 100 times. I Google the guy. I'm like, "Oh, this is kind of an interesting story," but I'd never had the full story until I watched his episode with Inside True Crime with Matthew Cox. I thought he came off on your show very well, super articulate. I don't have any bottom line is my understanding of his story as he tells it, and I have no reason to believe he's lying, is that he made a real choice of conscience there to not be involved in the CIA's enhanced interrogation program, which is a torture program. He then realizes that you're going to get that a lot of people are going to get in a lot of trouble for it. He quits the CIA, and then he gives an interview with ABC News where he discusses. Don't worry about it, it's okay. Where he discusses the CIA's torture program, which at the time was classified. As a result of that, he became the focus of an FBI investigation for disclosure of classified materials, and then he ended up pleading guilty after a long, difficult, litigation and going to prison for 23 months. I think he deserves a pardon, and he seems like a pretty decent guy to me. And I think history will prove that he was on the right side of right and wrong, if his story is true, which I have no reason to believe it's not. And so I really admire the guy based on what I saw there.
Do you want me to answer that?
Yes.
What was the question?
What do you think of him?
What do you think of him?
Oh, I thought he was credible. There's a couple stories that are.
I don't think I look like him, though.
No. You
I
know
get
what?
that a lot.
He's a white guy with glasses.
I think that's it.
First
He's
of
10 years
all,
older than me.
That white guy with
His hair is much thinner. They do have the same salt and pepper hair, but and the same coloration. Like you have the same kind of a tan, right? Like you're both a little tan.
Mm-hmm.
The difference
he's Greek
is,
and I live in Florida.
Yeah. The difference is, though, honestly, like you can't tell from, well, you can if you go to your Instagram and your TikToks and stuff. Like you clearly work out. He does not. I'm not saying he's not overweight or anything. He's just not muscular. He's a thin guy.
Yeah.
I don't even think you realize how thin he is. You'd have to see him. Like he's bony thin.
Is he tall?
What do you think? 5'9"? Listen, if you're 5'7", you're tall to me.
Yeah, I see.
So if you're 5'7", 5'8", he may be 6 foot, but if he's 5, he's probably 5'8", 5'9".
All right. Can Tom beat Matt in a arm wrestling match?
One way to find out.
No. Listen, no.
One way to
I'm
find
good.
out.
I'm
concede?
good. I concede. Yes.
Tom, what do you think about white collar crime reducing dramatically with this administration?
I have not heard that. Do we know this to be true? I know violent crime is down nationwide, but is white collar crime also down?
It's not being prosecuted.
Right. Okay, so that's the key. So when you take a bunch of white collar crime agents and you have them pick up Mexicans at the Home Depot looking for day labor, by definition, they are not investigating white collar crime. So every day, for those of you who are familiar with it or not, I do a true crime story on my Instagram, my TikTok, my Facebook, my YouTube. It's all at Simon Investigations. And so the way I get these stories that I'm going to cover, that I also bring to Matt Cox when we do our game show format, is that I begin my day going through the DOJ and the FBI press releases. And lately, it's been a lot of, FBI arrests a bunch of people with ICE on these immigration roundups, and way fewer white-collar crime cases. And so I don't believe white-collar crime is down at all. I just think the FBI is not investigating as much of it, because when you're doing one thing, by definition, you can't be doing something else. Do you have an alternative view?
I do. Isaac Allen, also known, a.k.a. Zach, my buddy, was arrested and thrown in jail about 1.5 years ago. So that took he was no longer allowed to commit white-collar crime.
Okay.
And Six, which is a buddy of his who used to he was locked up a couple months ago. So that's probably, that needs to be taken into consideration.
Taking those two out, they were responsible for a lot of stats.
Yes, two of the biggest. And John Boziak is currently in Cambodia. So that's 3.
Have Cambodian white-collar crimes spiked?
If they've spiked, could you imagine? We have a problem.
He's a one-man stat machine.
That's my Cambodia.
No, anyway, so that's the issue, is that FBI agents are being transferred off of traditional criminal squads onto immigration squads, and in their defense, in crimes against children and other things that are the priority of this administration. You can decide if that's a good thing or a bad thing. I don't make those decisions.
All right, we got the first donation. Ham Esbaz is what I'm assuming the name is. Do you have any Arabic scamming stories?
stories about people who are of Arabic descent who commit frauds?
That's the question.
I was going to say, immigration?
Nothing could go wrong with me actually choosing an ethnic group and telling stories about them, right? we saw how swimmingly well that went when I tell stories about one ethnic group over another.
Hence the Biggie shirt.
Yeah, it's my penance. I would need to think on that, man. Let me tell you this. I don't know that this particular Q&A is the best forum for Matt and I to be telling kind of long-form crime stories, because that's what he does when we do our game show today. So why don't we set the long-form crime stories aside, where we have a beginning, middle, and end. And you have my word that the next time I come visit the Matthew Cox show, I'm going to have some stories about Arabs who did bad things, because that seems really interesting to you. And I know our viewers will be fascinated with that.
I do have a
you
quick,
got an Arab? Please take it away.
Only a quick one is that actually prior to me going on the run, we were about to buy several properties with a student that had come from, I want to say, Iran. Mm-hmm. And it might have been Iraq. I think it was Iran. Anyway, or however you say it. Anyway, so he had come here and he had perfect credit. And he actually so through a mutual friend, he was saying, she was telling me, listen, this is a guy I know. I went to school with him, whatever. She's like, this is very common. What they'll do is they'll come and then they'll have perfect credit for like 3 or 4 years. And just before they leave, they'll run up all their credit and get like 50,000 or 100,000 and then go back to Iran after they've got their American college degree. Mm-hmm. They'll come up, get 50, 60,000, maybe 100,000, and then they'll go there. It's like showing up with $500,000, build a house, live there, and they're never come back to the United States, so it doesn't matter anyway. And Iran is not going to extradite them, even if they were caught for fraud. And not that it's necessarily fraud so much as they just run up their credit cards. Yeah. Through the course of 3 to 4 years, you can build up enough credit where you can borrow $100,000. So that was something she told me. And what we were going to do, and when this guy was explaining it to her, she said, listen, I got a guy. He can get you a lot more than that. And we were going to have him buy a couple of houses, have him get like $500,000 and go back. And then we were going to make $500,000. And then, but it would all be on him, and he's going back to Iran. We didn't do it, but it was something that I thought was interesting, because when he came to me, we were like, listen, bro, if you know anybody else, like once I hook you up, I'm like, he goes, man, I can have 10 people. Yeah. He goes, I'm telling you right now, he goes, I'll get you a bunch of guys. And we're like, absolutely. But within probably a month of that conversation, we were on the run.
All right.
You know what I mean? So it didn't matter. But
my one kind of Arab story is more of an observation that after the 9/11 attacks of 2001, they took a ton of white-collar crime and violent crime agents and transferred us over to counterterrorism. But there wasn't enough terrorists to go around. So that was a really bad couple of years to commit check kiting or food stamp fraud if your name was Muhammad.
Yeah.
All right, 2 questions. The first question is about our Turkey trip. They say, has Colby made it to Turkey? We have not made it to Turkey.
They want to know about your hair transplant, Colby. Any steps in that direction,
buddy?
We're
looking for U.S.-based doctors.
Well,
now.
Okay. So I went to Bubba the Love Sponge's party the other day, and there is a doctor named Dr. Diago who does hair transplants. So Bubba is contacting me with Dr. Diago, and I'm supposed to go to lunch with him, and we're going to discuss him doing, and he's local. And Bubba said, I'm going to get you the Bubba discount. I don't know how much the Bubba discount is. I don't think he knew either. Let me talk to him. Let me get you the Bubba discount. We're going to have lunch. I said, okay, cool. Yeah, let's do it. And so but what's so funny about this is I was watching a guy at Bubba's party, and I go, Bubba, come here. And Bubba's, he goes, yeah, what's up? I said, you see that guy over there? He goes, oh, yeah, that's so-and-so. And then he told me a 5-minute story about who the guy was. And I was like, he's like, is that what you want to know? I said, no, I want to know who did his hair. Because I could tell he had grafts. They don't do plugs anymore. Oh. It's insulting.
Sorry. I
didn't know
there was an issue. I didn't know that was the N word for bald guys.
Plugs. It's like doll hair. Anyway, so yeah, but Jess and I were looking at him. I was like, because I know I can tell when someone's had one. Yeah. His was immaculate. I was like, this guy's amazing, and I don't need half as good of a job. And so Bubba came over. Bubba goes, it's Dr. Diago. And I was like, really? And he said, I said, oh, okay. I said, well, and I told him, he goes, let me hook you up. Let me give you the Bubba discount. So yeah, that's who I'm going to have a conversation with, find out what we can get it done for, and then I was going to approach Colby. So he said we're going to have lunch in the next week.
And he's local here in Tampa?
Yeah, he's like here in Tampa. Yeah.
Fantastic. I
All
wonder, I
right.
wonder what the Bubba discount is. All right, go ahead.
Sam gives you $5 saying you guys are the best podcast. Much love from Cali Riverside.
I agree.
And then one of the comments earlier was a heartfelt comment. Matt, what do you appreciate most about Tom, and vice versa, Tom to Matt?
This is listen. This is what's wrong with these.
This is much nicer than arm
The
wrestling.
the bromance.
Yeah, let's trick each other off under the table.
I was gonna say, come on, what are you doing?
I want to hear it, Matt. We can just do the first half.
I appreciate him making the drive.
Yeah.
You know?
I appreciate the Five Guys burger they bought me.
Yeah.
So I think we're good.
Yeah, and say somebody recognized me. This is funny.
Oh, I know. This is so annoying. So annoying.
We're in Five. We walk in Five Guys, and this guy goes, "Hey, I watch your podcast." Or,
I'm a fan.
Oh, I'm a fan. He say I'm a fan.
Yeah.
He was like, "Hey, I'm a fan," and I didn't even hear him. Then they said, "No." He just said, "He's like, yeah." I was like, "Oh, thank you." He walked off, and then Tom's like, I don't mind that you get recognized. He goes, but the fact that I don't get recognized,
the fact that
along
we're
with
together,
and I don't get recognized.
I mean, I'm your most faithful sidekick next to Colby, and Colby's mostly off camera. I'm on camera a lot, and so the idea that we're standing together at Five Guys and he's a fan of you but not me, and then insulting.
Yeah, Tom's like he's like, I get recognized too.
Every
Like,
now and then, yeah.
He said, and it's great. Initially, they're like, "Oh my gosh, you're the FBI guy," and he's like, "Oh yeah, I am. I watch you on Matt Cox," and he's like,
know.
"Motherfucker."
I know.
Yes.
I can't win.
All right, here's another $5 donation.
All right.
What
That's one
do
way
you
to get
got-
your question
and
prioritized.
be careful with your answer. I don't
Yeah.
know what they're fishing for. What do you guys know about Monero and other privacy coins being used for money laundering?
Monero. I don't know
I'm
anything.
assuming
I don't
that's
know
a
it.
crypto coin.
I assume so.
Maybe,
Yeah, it's gotta
maybe
be.
you guys know nothing. I don't know.
I've been pretty outspoken about all cryptocurrency, that I think it's a bad idea. I think
Yeah.
it's just functionally a pump and dump scheme mixed with a Ponzi scheme, that you own nothing of any value, and that you are asking to be ripped off if you put your money in cryptocurrency.
Yeah,
I have no specific knowledge about Monero, but I am anti-cryptocurrency full born.
Yeah, I just
Did we just go
don't
to
get
commercial?
No.
Okay, interesting. Okay, never mind.
Well, you might be getting an ad.
Okay,
you
I
might
see.
be getting an ad.
I got it.
You
But
don't pay for premium.
Does everyone who's watching get ads at the same time, or does it like pop
It's
up?
probably
No, it's
based
probably-
on who's the viewer.
Okay. No problem. All good.
Yeah, they're tailored.
If anyone asked a question and we failed to answer it and it wasn't a crazy question, I'm going to resubmit it because there's a lot of questions coming in that Colby can't get to, but it may be a perfectly valid question. So I'm going to resubmit your questions.
Bitcoin is good to have. Okay.
What do we got, Colby?
Okay, what was Tom's favorite thing and least favorite thing about working or living in Hawaii?
Yeah, sure.
It's expensive, right?
Yeah. So the cost of living, there's three big stressors when living in Hawaii. One is the cost of living. It's really expensive there. And let's say there's four stressors. Two, the quality of the houses you get, whether you're renting or buying, are really bad. Like the construction there, they have what they call single wall construction, where literally the only thing between you and the next room and you and the outside is a single piece of plywood, because you don't need because the weather is so perfect there that you don't need to have a lot to protect you from the elements.
Aren't there hurricanes?
No.
There's no
like
hurricanes
once in every 200 years.
Oh, really?
A tsunami is more
just-
likely.
I just assumed there was
No.
because
and they would call them typhoons because it's the Pacific.
oh
But it happens so rarely. But that means, like, if you want to like hammer a picture of you and your grandmother up in the wall, that nail goes in the wall and it comes out the next room because the walls are that thin.
that's ridiculous.
The houses are terrible and they're termite infested and all that. The third stressor is for FBI agents, at least, is that there's no business community there other than tourism and the military for your spouse to have work. And so if your wife was a stockbroker with Merrill Lynch on Wall Street and you get transferred to Hawaii, she ain't getting that job in Hawaii. And then the fourth stressor is the proximity to extended family. The idea that when your grandma dies or you want to take your family home to see their cousins, it's 4 people times $2,000 a ticket. You're bankrupting yourself every time you do that. The upside, though, is that the weather's perfect. You're living in a screensaver. It's so the local populace is very nice. They're probably the nicest people, and they have that aloha spirit, and they're welcoming. I mean, they may hate you because you're a haole, as they say, which means a white person without a soul from the mainland, but they'll never act like it because they're always just so nice. Anyway, so there's a lot to love about Hawaii. After a while, though, you kind of get what they call island fever, where you've done all the hikes, you've done all the tourist attraction, you've been to all the beaches, and now you're there for 4 years, and you're like, all right, I guess we'll do it again. And you don't get as many visitors as people tell you they're going to visit.
No.
So that's the roses and the thorns of Hawaii.
That's just an expensive vacation.
And living there's just not like vacationing, there, right? It's not like you go downstairs to your like kitchen.
No, but I'm saying if somebody wants to come see you, it's not like, oh, I'm going to drive 2 states away. It's
an expensive vacation. I mean, but they're more than happy to stay with you for free because then they can defray the hotel costs. But it's a good place to live. I liked it.
You can get a quick answer on this one. This is $2 from Maxwell.
Yeah.
Why does Tom always win the game show?
Because the game is rigged. That's why. The game is rigged. That's
Okay. So this is from Tyler Sherman, the guy who connected me.
Oh,
my goodness, Tyler.
The great connector. He wants to know if you have any thoughts on Aaron Levin Smith being locked up again. Outspoken Scientologist. And another thing that's been going on, I think in California, people are trying to map out the Scientology building.
You've been watching this? It's amazing.
And they're running, like kids, 20-year-old kids or whatever, a group of 5 or 10 of them are sprinting through the Scientology building, recording the hallways, and they're trying to like put together a whole map because it's
amazing. This is my favorite internet trend in the history of internet trends.
So they were jumping.
They're called
jumping the wall.
They go in the front. They go in the front door as if they're like there to like convert or get a copy of Dianetics. And they take off sprinting in one direction or another, taking left turns and right turns while security guards like dive at their ankles. And they just and then run out the next emergency exit. But they try to take a different route than the other kids on TikTok did. And then people are crowdsourcing to get the actual floor plan of the Scientology headquarters in Los Angeles.
Just go downtown and get the building permits and get a copy of the
But
layout?
they also want to torment the Scientologists. Okay. I mean, that's the fun of it. I mean, they're dressing like Jesus and all that. And the Scientologists are playing right into their schemes because they're losing their minds as these like 15-year-olds are running through. And if you catch the 15-year-old, if the police did come, it's trespassing. It's a kid.
Yeah.
It goes nowhere. And and they're not vandalizing the place. They're not like peeing on the walls. But it's a very, very fun watch. I'm not encouraging it.
No,
trespassing's wrong.
I can tell. You're very against.
But it is. I'm riveted by it. I don't know who this guy is who was locked up though. So
yeah, we've had him on the program a few times. Apparently, he had. I don't know exactly why he's locked up. I don't know why Aaron is locked up again.
Yeah.
Although I started to watch the video that his. You know what's funny? Listen, I texted him to ask him about the fact that Tom Cruise is a Scientology vampire, and he's aging at a reduced rate than everyone else, and it's clearly because he has worked the upper levels of the OT levels of Scientology, and he's got some kind of a secret now. Supposedly, it's because he's able to now draw from the youth of the younger members, and that's how he's doing it. But put that aside. Yeah. That's a whole nother video.
Is this your next book after you've maligned Garth Brooks?
No.
I think Tom Cruise and Scientology may come at you a little more aggressively than Garth did.
We did do a video on it for the Murder Men podcast. But putting that aside, I actually texted Aaron to ask him about this and how what was going on and what he had heard. And then like the next day, and I was like, he's not responding. I don't get it. And the next day, his girlfriend texts me and says, Aaron's in jail. He said you'll know how to get in contact with him. What?
What does that mean?
So then I look up and find out she did a 45-minute or an hour video on why he was in jail. And I watched about 15 minutes of it. But I was just like, I watched 15 minutes because it just went on for 45 minutes.
Is it federal or local?
No, it's local. What he had done was he had gone to, he was protesting Scientology for some reason. There's a member of Scientology that he's a member. He hasn't spoken with his family in 10 years, 5 years, I don't know. And they're protesting because his family's like, we just want to know if he's okay. They believe that he's sick, but he's been told not to talk to them. So they're protesting. He ends up getting arrested.
Okay.
Because there's an argument or something with a security guard. Water was thrown on the security guard or something, and they said, "Oh, that's an assault." And so Clearwater,
It's happening in Clearwater.
Police
Okay.
Department
Yeah.
arrested him, which they're very they're very close with Scientology,
Yep.
and so they arrested him, and he went to trial on it, or is going to trial, whatever the reason is. During this whole process, the judge has determined that she despises Aaron. Not because of any of the legality of his arguments, just because she doesn't like his attitude.
Yeah.
And as a result, something happened and he got arrested and he's been thrown in jail. I don't know whether did he lose and go to jail? Did he what was it, contempt of court? Was it, what's the other one where they throw you in jail for? Is it just contempt of court or
contempt of court?
Yeah. Okay. So who knows what it is? Somehow or another, he ended up in jail, and his girlfriend did a video on it. But I didn't watch the whole video, so I don't really know because I did not expect that.
Well,
What is
a
it?
viewer wants to know.
Did you figure it out? No.
Oh, what's he in prison for?
Yeah.
I'll find out.
Okay.
I'll text Tyler. Tyler texted me a couple things. Tyler texted me and says, everybody watching, they need to like it. Live stream only has 22 likes and 500 viewers. But next.
Everybody
Matt,
needs to like the video.
Like
Matt,
it, goddammit.
If Tom was in prison, what would his prison nickname be?
The sword swallower.
God, they would give you.
Do they really have nicknames in prison?
Oh my God. Oh yeah. I'm the only person who tried to push.
I know, the
a
chainsaw
nickname.
thing,
Yeah.
right? Yeah.
No. But in general, I didn't even get a nickname. It was Cox. Hey,
Okay,
Cox,
well-
what's up? Well, like, why don't I have a fucking cool nickname? Like,
Literally everyone that has a nickname, even like a normal like bank fraud guy.
Ian Bick, they called him McLovin. They were calling him McLovin. Like, he got a nickname. Like, I didn't even have a
All right.
shitty
Well,
nickname.
the fans want to know what prison nickname would you give me?
I think maybe Waldo or something.
Oh,
I'm not
please.
sure.
You've seen me in the shower at this point.
Well, I'm trying to think. They would come up with something.
Someone said
They-
Eagle Scout in the comments.
Eagle Scout.
I'll take it. I'll
yeah,
take it.
yeah, Boy Scout. Yeah, I could see that. Something
We blow.
It's too much. But it couldn't be Eagle Scout. It'd have to be like boy. It'd have to be something short. They're typically pretty short.
Yeah.
The longest one I think I ever heard was Can't Get Right. There was a guy.
Can't get right. That's funny. That's funny.
He was just a complete fuck up.
I'm sure there's no shortage of those.
You would. Yeah, they'd come up with something. It'd probably be something like, I could see Boy Scout, Eagle Scout, something along those lines. Yeah.
Okay. Let's see. Matt, if you were never caught, do you think you would have stopped on your own?
Oh, I like that question.
I mean, I want to say that I would have. I want to say eventually I kept thinking to myself I was going to take this money and I was always slowly trying to turn it into a development company or just buy a bunch of rental properties. But the fraud was it was almost like it was getting easier and easier.
Mm-hmm.
And then, I just feel like even like when the chick Trina turned me in and it was like, oh, if she hadn't this, no, I would have gotten turned in. I would have fucked up. I would have got turned in. I also back then thought if I could go to Australia and restart my life. And I also think that for a while I thought, man, I would have been fine. But I didn't know about social media. And I know that eventually social media would have turned into a thing.
Yeah.
And then they would have caught me anyway. Like the FBI at some point, the Secret Service or FBI, they just wait 5 years or 10 years and they go, hey, you know what? Let's do a massive campaign.
All right,
where we
there's
try
a
and
10-year
catch this
statute of
guy.
limitations on bank fraud, so that this.
No, but I'd already been indicted in
I see what you
multiple
mean.
jurisdictions.
Okay.
So they would have.
Well, I think the question though is, had you not had you been able to skate by law enforcement, would you eventually quit while you were ahead?
I like to think. I would like to say yes,
Okay.
but is that accurate? Because I also think that the first time I committed fraud, I thought, if I could just, or when I started committing, I remember thinking like, if I just get all my credit cards paid off, and then
Yeah.
I did, and then it was if I could just get 50 grand, and then it was like I did, and then we did a couple more times, I could just 100,000 in the bank. That's all I need. And then you get 100, and then it's 500, and then it's 1 million. And then you just stop you just say, I'm just so fucking good at this. I'm not going to stop. Because you get mentally, it's so emboldened by getting away with it for so long. And so
Okay.
I can't say.
Tom, is today your birthday?
No.
Okay. Well, someone said make sure,
I have What?
Who said
Go
that?
Someone insinuated it's such an honor for us to have Tom on the show on his birthday. But here's a $20 donation that we need to read.
Nice. We need to talk to this guy.
This is from Blake. He wants to know what's up with Black Zach and how do I put money on his books. The last instructions didn't work because I know he's probably still being moved. So,
Oh, did you get instructions?
I mean, right now we said the last video we said we were going to leave a link, but we don't know where he's at yet. So,
No. So Jess was able to do it. Let me text Jess and get his reg number because he is in the system now, and you can go to Western Union. I think it's, I don't know. Let me ask Jess, and we will put that link in. I'll do it right now.
We'll get that back. All right.
Matter of fact, Jess should be watching this. Jess, send me his reg number, his full name, reg number, and whatever you needed, whatever platform you went on to put money on his books.
You think Jess is really watching?
Probably.
Hey, baby.
Probably.
I'm watching you, Jess.
Okay, so here's a $2 donation.
Oh!
I sell books on Amazon and TikTok. They fly off the shelf. Matt, you should be pushing your books more.
I don't. Yeah, what are you doing to make them fly off the shelf? Like, my books don't fly off the shelf. I'm getting less money now.
You should have one sitting and propped up on your mic.
I
sitting in
know.
front of
I
you.
hate to pedal anything. I hate to push anything.
It's just like background. It's just like it's just sitting there.
You know, what I need is a literary agent. Because at this point, I'm ready
No,
to
you
take
don't need a
deal.
literary agent. You need a publicist.
I need a publicist for my book?
To get you booked on other podcasts hyping your book. Or go on a book tour.
Yeah. I don't know how to do any of that.
You
That's
literally
what
get
you
yourself booked on podcasts. You get booked on podcasts all the time.
I get booked on podcasts now. I need a guy for that?
Well, you don't need a guy for that. But what you need to do is make sure that the focus of your thing is
book.
Buy a book.
Yeah, I never talk about my book.
You go to these podcasts. What was that huge one you did? The one that changed everything. He's really famous. He's a odd.
Lex Friedman.
Lex Friedman.
Yeah.
I'm curious. I never watched your Lex
Yeah.
Friedman episode.
Really, Danny's is what changed everything.
Fair
The
enough.
first-
But
the first time.
Lex Friedman probably gave you the largest bump in subscribers. Would that be fair to say?
I would say in recent history.
Yes, recently, yes.
Did you plug your book on that show?
If I did, I assure you he would have cut it. No,
really?
I did mention several times that I was incarcerated and that I wrote no, I think I did. And I did, by the way, have a huge boost.
Right.
I did have
My
a huge
point, though,
for
is that
about
you
2
get
months.
called to these podcasts to tell your story.
And I never
it's
mentioned
a
my book.
Goddamn good story, man. You got a fantastic story. You're good at telling it. You can tell the 40-minute version or you can tell the 40-hour version. You're like a koi fish. You will grow to the size of your pond. At the end or during or in the middle of all of these podcasts, you should make it contingent. If I'm going to go on your show, you allow me to plug my book. And when you hold up a fucking copy of that book and you're like, hey, here's my book, Chicken in the Hen's Cage,
Shark
whatever
in
it's
the
called. Oh, yeah.
Shark in the housing pool. So, and it's so funny because
by the way, a copy is now sitting on a table in like a display case in my house since you signed a copy to my wife. And she's every now and then she'll pick it up and read it and go, he is such a good writer. I'm like, shut up. Just shut up.
Speaking of going on podcasts, and last live stream, we were able to get Jeremy Meeks from the live stream. And mentioning it.
yeah.
So for both of you guys, what are 1 or 2 podcasts that you would love to go on in the future?
Who are you asking?
Both of you.
You first, Matt. Who's your dream podcast?
that I would like to go on?
Yes. I'd like to see Matt on Theo Vaughn.
Listen, Theo Vaughn, I'm gonna tell you something. Usually, obviously, I just laugh my ass off. Like, I think he's hilarious. But every once in a while, he'll say something and he'll talk about something like really, which is so amazing because he's so, it's hilarious and then it's so deep and heartfelt, and he'll get emotional, and I'm sitting there watching Theo get emotional, and I'm getting emotional. Like it's ridiculous.
So is that your show? That's the one you want to be on?
I would like to be on that. I would like to be on Tom Segura. I think that only because of the Garth
Two
Brooks
Bears
thing.
or the ones with his wife?
No, with his wife. With his wife.
Do they ever do guests? I guess they do stand up.
No. They do guests.
Comedians. Okay.
Yeah, I've seen them with guests. And even musicians, comedians, they do lots of different stuff.
Yeah.
I'd like to do that, it's funny too because he's mentioned me. Segura recently went on.
Two Bears.
We went on Two Bears. He mentioned me. He also went on Flagrant. And they talked about me and the book, the Garth Brooks book, the whole thing.
With Schultz?
Yes.
Wow, that's great.
And nothing.
You didn't get a bump in sales?
I really didn't get a huge, like a bump. Maybe a few books, here and there.
Yeah.
And it's funny, they put up the thing and everything. And one of the guys that was on there was like, oh, I know who this guy is. He's got a podcast. Yeah. And he did a whole thing. And it was like, and yet if I text his producer at this point, he's, he blows me off. He's like, yeah, we're done with you.
Yeah. No, I am. I remember my son sent me the clip or the timestamp for the Two Bears mention of it. And I sent it to you, and you hadn't seen it. So.
And Joe Rogan, of course, would be massive. But the truth is that I kind of know that like there's 3 different people that have mentioned me to Joe Rogan, and that he's been like, oh yeah, I know who that is. I've heard about this guy. I know who this guy is. And then that's it. Mm-hmm. Like nobody's reached out to me. And I've always heard like if you start hammering Joe Rogan and you reach out to him, it's a sure way not to get on the show. Because he said, look, if people start hammering me like, hey, I want to be on your show, because that's a sure way to not get on my show. Yeah. It's like if I find you and I find you interesting, we'll approach you. Right. And I've never been approached, which is not some people think like, oh, well, like, oh, that's some bullshit. But it's not. Like you can't be everybody can't like you.
Right.
And I don't think he dislikes me. I just think he probably says, I'm not really interested. Okay, I get it. Mm-hmm. There's big stories out there that I hear, and I'm kind of like, everybody's like, isn't that amazing? I'm like, is it? Like, yeah, it's okay. Like, I'm not amazed by a story. Yeah. You know who I would love to get on the podcast, though? Would be Jordan Belfort. And we've made,
guest on your show.
As a guest, we've made tons of attempts to contact him. We've made an attempt through his ex-wife.
Wait till he's trying to sell something. Yeah. When he writes another book, he'll be on the show.
Thought about...
He was on Vlad.
Yeah, we thought about putting out kind of like a most wanted list for the podcast.
Yeah.
Have a top
that's
5.
Fun. Yeah, with photos of them. You could like do a graphic of that. That'd be really neat.
And then have fans try and reach out and contact these people.
Yeah, tag them.
Actively see. Before we get to your podcast, Tom.
Yes.
We have a $399 donation from Blake.
I got to do this.
Just wanted to say thank you, Matt. My friends and I love you. Constantly quote Dossie Richards, joke about Gary Sullivan, and love how Tom starts every story with a question. And if no one has told you, proud of you, bro. Keep going. Best show on YouTube.
The next time you give $400, mention who you want to get that money. Just if it's all Matt, it's fine. But just mention it.
I feel like since they donated it to the show,
I know
they made that decision.
Well,
don't you have an Instagram?
It's incredibly generous. Yeah, exactly.
So Tom, what are your shows?
Okay, mine. Diary of a CEO. I want to go on that show. The guy it's a big show. You don't need me to tell you about it.
Yeah.
I would love to do Sean Ryan because even though I'm not like a tactician SWAT guy, I think we'd have a lot to talk about, kind of law and order stuff. And the great white whale in my life, and I'm nowhere near famous enough to get on the show. I want to do Hot Ones.
Hot Ones? What's Hot Ones?
You don't know about Hot Ones?
No.
Colby, you know Hot Ones, right?
Yes.
Okay.
What is it?
Hot Ones is a show where
I feel like it's run by a supermodel.
No.
Oh, okay.
That'd be great. No, he's a nice kid. I don't know what his name is, but it's like this. We're sitting across the table, and he's doing an interview with me. And during the course of the interview, there's a series of hot wings, with each being progressively hotter and hotter hot wings, until by the end they call it the bomb. You like take a bite and you're like talking with your mouth full and your eyes are watering. You're like, I want to go on Hot Ones.
Listen, do you understand that mildly hot is devastating to me? I can't, anything remotely spicy or hot, like.
I feel like I could go on Hot Ones and impress them by using their hot sauce as eye drops because I am impervious to that kind of heat.
Listen, if Jess wants to have a meal without me trying to eat off it, she just puts hot sauce on it. She's like, "There's hot sauce on it." I'm like, "Oh."
Yeah. See, Hot Ones. It was purchased by, I can't remember, one of those
Buffalo Hot Wings.
No, one of those big internet media companies that does really well for themselves. I can't remember the name of it. And so I reached out to them and said, please get this to Hot Ones, introduce myself. I'm just not, like, they're having like, Ben Affleck, like Jennifer Lawrence, and that's like the caliber of celebrity. They're not having like some retired FBI guy on the show.
Do you know who would be funny to go on, who I would love to go on also, is the Chrisleys. Chrisley's Confessions. Confessions with the Chrisleys.
Is that the family that went to prison or for something?
Yeah.
They got a pardon from Trump?
Yes. Excuse me. Oh, listen to this real quick.
Yeah.
Somebody said, hey, Matt, you need to have this woman on your podcast. And I said, oh, who is it? and they said it's now I don't remember her name, but I'm pretty sure you will. She's the one that got a pardon from Trump after pilfering the police officer fund.
Yeah, I did a story on her in Las Vegas.
What was her name?
Oh, I don't know. This fat bitch. I hate her.
So
was her name? She's on the circuit right now. She was literally offered your show.
No. So
Oh.
one,
I
she
can't
had one.
stand her. She's pathetic. She's a horrible person.
Listen.
All right.
She is not happy with you because here's what happened:
Oh.
is that like if you knew her name, I could pull up the text right now, the text thread. It was
someone in the fans will know it.
Yeah, some fan. So somebody watching that knows. It was like two officers got killed. They raised a bunch of money and supposedly
like $60,000 and for a memorial, and she stole it and used it for plastic surgery and her daughter's wedding.
And then she went to trial. She lost, and then
Trump pardoned her before she had to report to prison.
Correct. So here's what happened: is that so somebody said you should have her on. She just got a pardon. Blah blah blah. She's just started a podcast. She would definitely want to be on. I was like, oh great. I said, do you have her number? So I then contacted her and I was like, hey, by the way, we have this podcast. Blah 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 blah. And she came back. She said, oh wow, that would be amazing. Let me check my schedule, whatever. And then she came back and she had checked out the podcast. She came back. She said, have you interviewed Tom Simon?
Oh,
and I said, oh yeah, Tom's a regular on the.
I don't know. This is the first time I'm hearing this. Okay.
And I remember when I heard about it and I contacted, I remember thinking, Tom, I know that I've heard this story. I think Tom talked about her.
Yeah.
And so I was like, yeah. But I acted like, la, la, la. I was like, oh, Tom's a regular. He comes on at least once a month. Everybody loves Tom. And she came back. She said, Tom Simon said, he called me a scumbag.
Yeah.
And he this. And
I second the motion if you're watching, lady.
And so she goes on and on about it. And I said, well, and she said, and I can't believe that you had him on his podcast. This is what he said. And I said, well, wait a minute. I said, that's why people come on the podcast. It's important to hear both sides of the story. I'm sure you have a different version of that story. I would love to hear your version. And I think that people deserve to hear your version from you.
I agree. Have her on.
And so she came back and we went. I don't think we went back and forth. I think
you texting with her?
Oh, yeah.
You have her number?
That's what I'm saying. That's what I'm saying. If we could figure out a name, I have the. And so she came back. She said, "Well, I will definitely think about." No, she said, "I will think about it." And if I can't go on right now.
Michelle Fiore.
Fiore. Okay.
Fiore.
Okay. Perfect.
And while you're looking for that, let me see. Tom, this is for you. $6.90 from DLAZ. That is one of our. This guy is in almost every video.
Hold on.
Oh, this is so funny.
Where is it? Hold on.
I never know if these people see my videos about them.
Oh yeah. If I'm not mistaken, I believe someone sent me a podcast. She said, do you do the podcast with Tom Simon? I put yes. We love Tom. Look at the smiley face. And then she put. If I'm not mistaken, I believe someone sent me a podcast of him calling me a scumbag.
Yes.
Do you recall that? And then I put, no. No, but it's certainly possible. I said, but Tom isn't a host of the podcast. Yeah, Tom is a guest. We have on about once a month. And she put, let me do my research because I fight against bad FBI agents. Okay. And bad DOJ prosecutors and attorneys. And for someone to call me a scumbag that doesn't even know my story. Well,
I know her story. It was adjudicated in court.
I was going to say, well, the jury heard your story.
Yeah. America knows her story. You don't need to pardon innocent people.
Yeah. They decided that you were guilty. So, and I put, I'm sure it is, but that's why you should come on the podcast to tell your story. And then she put, Matt, thank you for the invitation. After hearing the comments made about me on your show and your agreement with she put them, him. I have concerns. Comments, yeah, that. Wait, agreement with them. Oh, I agreed.
We were both agreeing with the fact that she was a bad person on the show.
Yeah, I agree with. I don't know. Like I'll put a heart. But that when I heart something, it's not that I'm necessarily agreeing, and I'm not saying I
she's
did
referring
agree.
to our comments when we were talking about
Oh,
her.
I thought that me loving or hearting a comment. I thought
No,
she meant that.
It was me and you on the show talking about what a terrible person she was, and you were not defending her.
Well, I feel like a jury heard the.
Oh, no, you're
feel
right.
like a
She's a
jury-
loony.
Oh, and then, look, I've watched her video. Like she's definitely she's out there.
Yeah,
she's out. And then the thing is, and she's got a podcast, and her whole, I'm a victim, and bad prosecution,
Have her
bad
on.
this, bad that.
Have
like,
us both on. I would love to debate her case with her.
So this is pretty clearly not going to happen.
Tom, did you get your podcast in? Did you say which podcast you want to be on? I don't want to.
Yeah,
He
said
Hot
Sean
Ones.
Ryan.
Sean Ryan, Hot Ones, and Diary of a CEO.
All right, I'm gonna get through some.
Wait, can I mention something? Did you
yes.
get the thing on Zach?
I did get the way to how to pay Zach. I'm just figuring. I got to figure out how to put it in the description why we're streaming.
Right.
So once I get that done, I'll let everybody know.
It's Western Union, by the way. I'll just mention it real quick, and then we'll try and figure out how to put it in the system. But his name is Isaac, ISAAK. Oh, sorry, Jesus, ISAAC. KELVIN Allen, ALLEN, and Zach's reg number is 49476-018. And you just go to Western Union, and he's at I think it's FDC Miami, and you can send Zach. You can put money on Zach's books, or if you can't, you can go to my PayPal and you just send it to me, and I'll have Jess send him the money.
My jaw is hitting the floor here.
Okay, and here we
My
got
neighbor
$299
Oksana.
$299
From
donation.
Oksana.
Oksana.
She's my neighbor. Don't give him money. Come over to my house and give me money, Oksana.
No, listen, don't listen to this man.
Oh, here's $50.
She's my friend. We play cards together. Don't give him money, Oksana.
We just bought him Five Guys.
Not for $299. Oksana, don't give him money.
This one's for
doing the
Tom.
right
Do a charge
thing.
back.
Hey, that may negatively. Listen, we're gonna cut Tom in on this. Don't do anything crazy.
Oh my God.
So here's a $50 donation for Tom. This one's for Tom. Please bring Dossie Richards on again. Needs to be walking through that lobby. So Dossie, they want Dossie back.
Who's Dossie?
Dossie's a black guy.
He's a black Matt Cox. Isn't
Yeah,
that
that's
people
what they
in
said. The
prison?
black Matt Cox.
Right.
It was the condo king of Atlanta. And let me tell you something. Listen, we did that video. That was the name of it, Condo King.
Mm-hmm.
And let me say, listen, his stories. I've just never laughed so hard, bro.
People are in the comments
so
right now
funny.
saying, Mr. Dawson, Mr. Dawson.
He talks about a black cowboy that he met. I mean, and this is like the first 30 minutes.
Storyteller, huh?
The first 30 minutes of his story isn't even fraud, but you were just in tears laughing at him.
That's great.
Okay.
What else you got for us, Colby?
Let me hit up a couple other these donations because if someone donates, I don't want to skip their question.
Yeah.
So we can kind of hit these rather quickly. So this is from Gary, a $20 donation. Has Matt ever apologized to all the Garys out there for using our name during his crime spree? It is hard enough to be a regular Gary. Also, please give a donation to Tom for a month of premium on me, Gary Winkle.
YouTube.
I get it. Are you
Okay.
apologizing to the Garys, or are you going to
No,
stand by your...
oh, for God's sakes, Gary's fine. Listen,
Find us the real Gary Sullivan.
yeah, I would love that. The real Gary Sullivan was not well put together.
Yeah,
Like
okay.
I don't think he's doing.
Yeah.
If he's still he wasn't living a good life. He wasn't. I don't know that Gary's made it this long. But yeah, I do. I feel genuinely bad about.
But using the name Gary? No, you don't.
Matt, here's a question for Matt and Tom. Matt, would you have escaped prison when you first got there if someone had a plan? And Tom, would you have caught him? This is $5 from Recycled Warfare.
Oh, okay, so the question is, would I have caught Matt Cox if I was...
Yeah, and if Matt would have escaped.
like that. Gotcha.
Like if I was the case agent?
Listen, you're going back.
Like if I was the case agent on Matt's case and we had a warrant for his arrest, would I have caught him? That's the question, basically?
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, you'd be sitting duck.
Listen, listen. Tom convinced a guy to fly from Mexico, who'd been on the land for 20 some odd years, back to the U.S. to Chicago, and arrested him in the airport. And the guy was so duped by the ruse that Tom had created, that on the way back there, on the way to the FBI station or the U.S. Marshals, whatever it was, to the holdover, he asked Tom if he can stop by the place that had flown him in to tell him he wasn't going to be able to show up.
Yeah.
Like, he's still halfway to the station. He still doesn't even realize he's been
See, the
duped.
trick would not be figuring out where Matt is, but figuring out a way to have Matt come to me. Why bring the mountain to Muhammad?
What was the other question?
So one of the questions was...
Oh, escape.
Yeah.
Yeah. I probably spent the first... I spent 3 months, maybe, the first few months when I was at the medium security prison thinking about escape. And eventually I just realized, like, there's just no way to escape. And then I thought to myself, well, you know what? Then I started thinking, how do I get to a camp? And then I started thinking once, maybe in the low. Like, I actually thought about that for quite a while. But the Bureau of Prisons really has the system down. And they don't allow you to be in a position to escape until you're in a position where you don't really want to escape anymore. Does that make sense?
Yeah, I get it.
Like, they know once this guy's got less than 5 or 10 years, we'll send him to a camp because at that point, mentally, he's been broken and he's not going to try and escape.
And there's just a risk reward thing. You're going to
Right.
get more
Well,
time.
the problem is when you walk away from a camp, typically you don't get any more time. You might lose gain time, or maybe you might get a year.
But you're going to go to a worser.
You'll go to a medium for sure. Maybe a pen.
Right.
But also, it's kind of like you're also like, by the time you get there, you're like, I mean, it's 5 more years or it's 7 more years. Like, why would I've already done 10 years or 12 years. Like, why would I now leave? I'm almost to the door.
Right. I get it.
So mentally, they know. Like, they're very good. The psychology behind it is impeccable.
Okay. Did I ask? Is it easier to commit mortgage fraud now? You can do that quickly. That was a $2.
I think it's probably much easier to commit mortgage fraud now than it was when I was doing it. Only because like now you can easily get pay stubs and W-2s made. You can go to paystub.org and you just pay for them. Where
isn't the underwriting process more stringent now than it was in your heyday?
I think it's actually less because they actually have raised all the debt to income ratio. They've really also there's less need to commit fraud now. Does that make sense? And in some ways it's easier.
I thought they tightened up their lending standards now that they're not securitizing all these mortgages like they were back when you were.
But the DTI the DTI when I was back in the day was be like 32 to 36%, and now it's like 50%,
okay.
48. So it's like you can now get more of a mortgage for less money. And there's all these. Does that make sense? Like
I get it. Okay.
And also like your employment now. You know, it used to be 2 years. You had to be 2 years and this and this. And now they're more like, well, you know what? You're at 18 months, but give me 3 years. Like they've got all these variations of what you can do to qualify. So it seems like,
all right.
So in a way, I feel like it's almost.
I defer to your expertise. I just feel
easier.
like during your era was the heyday of the mortgage fraud, as far on the FBI side, as far as just like scooping up people like you who are doing that type of thing.
Yeah.
All right. So we have 675 viewers currently.
Right, let's get up to 1,000.
If you guys are interested in helping out Zach, the information should be in the description. A $5 donation from Coin Operated says, my therapist drinks Ghosts, but I think you should try the new Liquid Death energy drinks. And if any drinks are out there that want to sponsor the show or have a connection with Ghost, hit us up. Let's see. Now, this is a $20 donation for Tom. Tom, I get the sense you have plenty of bread. Have you ever been undercover as a homeless person?
Yeah.
Or does the panhandling come naturally?
Oh, that's funny.
Here's $20 anyway.
I told the story on one of my early episodes of the show where I did, in fact, go undercover as a homeless person to rip out banks.
Oh,
And,
yeah. I remember the guy
and
driving around with him in the van.
The guy drove me around from bank to bank to bank, giving me counterfeit checks to go cash in my undercover name. And he took the money and gave me a little bit. And at the very end, we arrested him. So someone wanted an Arab fraud. He was Jordanian. And so yes, I have been undercover as a homeless person. No, I'm not truly panhandling from Matt. He can keep all the money. He has some overhead here. I don't. So it's a running joke on the show that Matt doesn't pay me because he's a big cheapskate. And boy, nothing could be further from the truth. I got a hamburger today.
Oh, ball.
Yeah. Next question, Colby.
Okay, as I think we're caught up on all the donations. So Matt, Have you ever caught any of your guests lying? Is essentially what the
interesting.
question is.
No, I mean not like outright caught them, but I have been in situations where people say things, and it's like, and I'm thinking, like that doesn't make sense. Does that make sense? Like,
it happens all the time.
I'll give you, an example. And I'm not going to use a specific. I have one that recently that I just feel like it's just such a slam dunk, but it did so well.
Yeah.
The video did so well. I don't want to say anything. But I'll have where a guy will be caught with, let's say, 2 keys of, let's say, H, and I know he's been in prison twice. I know what the history is. Like, I'm listening to the guy, and they say something like that, and as soon as it says it, I'm thinking like that is a mandatory, a minimum mandatory sentence of like 15 years, like at least possibly 20 to 25. And then the guy ends up saying, yeah, I end up getting 5 years, and I'm like, 5 years for this?
He cooperated.
Yeah, but they're like, yeah, bro, like a lucky man, I had money, I got a really good lawyer, and I'm thinking
he's leaving out the part where he snitched on someone.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. And so those types of things happen, and I think like that. But I don't want to.
Let's give people a peek behind the curtain. What's your philosophy on that? Is it your job to kind of push back and challenge the miscreants you have on your show when they start talking about stuff and they're full of shit? Or do you is your philosophy just let them tell their story? The fans like that. Or do you want to actually like push the onion back and stop them and push them on it and say, there's no way? I mean,
no, I don't.
What's your philosophy of being an interviewer?
So there's one. I wouldn't mind doing it just to call someone out and be like, come on, man, cut the shit, right? Like, you just talked about this fucking dude snitched on me. And now 45 minutes later, you just told me that you got 5 years for 2 keys of H. And I know for a fact that's absolutely impossible without cooperation. But, and so would I like to call him out on it? Yeah, I'd love to say something. Come on, man. Like, bro, that's not. But I also feel like, hey, wait a second. Like, I don't want to out this guy.
Yeah.
Not everybody is brave enough to say I cooperated.
Mm-hmm. Takes a real hero to do that.
It does. And I don't, I don't want to embarrass someone, and I don't want to make them feel uncomfortable. And this person came on the show, and they have a version of their story, and I get that everybody's version is different, right? Two things can happen in the same person, and there's 2 different stories there, 2 different versions of their story, and so okay, I get that, and so. The other problem is that if I start calling out every time I think somebody's exaggerating or bullshitting, then how many people want to be on the show?
Right. Okay.
And here's the other. So the other problem is, and a lot of people are the hero of their own story, right? Mm-hmm. So they've altered it in their mind to such a degree and for such a long period of time. I don't necessarily know that they even know they're lying or have altered the story. And I'll give you an example. How many times have you met with a friend of yours that you grew up with when you were 20 years old or 19 years old, and you say, oh my God, remember when we were at that party and this happened and that happened and that fucking guy punched you in the head? And then the guy goes, bro, first of all, that wasn't me, that was Jimmy. No, wasn't it you? So yeah, he did end up hitting me, but no, he hit Jimmy first.
Memory's a funny thing, right? Because you're not really remembering the event, or remembering the last time you told the story, basically.
Yeah, and then he's like, and that wasn't at the party, bro. Yeah. That was the Burger King before we even went to the party. Yeah. And you're like, what? And then Jimmy walks in, and Jimmy's in and said, yeah, and he goes, yeah, bro, we were at the McDonald's. Remember, we were at the McDonald's, not the Burger King, but McDonald's. Yeah, it was before the party. And you're like, I've been telling that story for 20 years.
Yeah.
And you were wrong. Is it as a big deal? No. But people start believing the story that they're telling, and if it's slightly altered over time or they misremembered something, and I can't tell you how many times I've told a story and then somebody goes, no, bro, remember it was this and this and this, and then I go, as soon as they say it, I'm like, fuck, it was at the Burger King.
Yeah.
You're right. Mm-hmm. And I think I would have sworn on a stack of Bibles that it was at the party.
It's funny, isn't it?
Yeah, so I just don't feel like it's my job to embarrass someone or humiliate them.
You're not here to audit their stories. Right. You're here to allow people to spread their wings a little bit and tell their story.
Right. And honestly, listen,
and trust me, I read the comments. Your audience will call them out if they see the inconsistencies.
Correct. And honestly,
you got a very smart audience.
And most of the time, what I really can verify is he was arrested, he did rob 4 banks, and he did go to jail, and he did get 10 years. That I know. all of the intricacies between how he figured it out and the car chase and all the other things, who am I to say that didn't happen? Like, I don't know if it happened or not. Nobody knows but him if it happened.
Yeah.
Does it sound unlikely that he jumped 2 police cars and did it? Yeah, it does. Or we've had guys on who are telling people like, hey, they're fresh out of rehab and now they're clean for 6 months, and you're looking at the guy going, you're high as a kite.
Yeah.
And I know there's no way that you're not on something right now. But what am I going to do? I'm going to get into an argument with some guy over he doesn't want to, he's on drugs, and I don't.
It's not the kind of show you want to host.
Yeah,
right?
I want to have a fun show. I like laughing. I like having fun.
Yeah.
That's what I like.
Okay, we got 3 donations, so I'm gonna read them off real quick.
Yep.
I am Tammy Girl. Says, I got you guys. I get people on podcasts, especially author. I used to work with Les Brown doing events. She's just referring to the book comments we talked about earlier. So
Right.
That's a $10 donation. Greg Snavely, $20.
Greg,
Former guest.
big spender, Greg.
$20.
Yes.
Watch
Greg,
connoisseur.
yes. Watch connoisseur. Very funny.
Parking.
But parking
Valet
king?
parking
Valet
king.
parking king?
Yeah.
Listen, hilarious. Greg is hilarious. And I keep saying, and listen, and I know what he's going to text me. He probably already did text me. He's going to text me, when are you coming to, what is it? I forget what area he lives in, but he's right down the street from Donovan.
Port St. Lucie or Fort Pierce or something?
Right down the street from, I think he always says like the Space Coast or something.
Yeah.
But it's right next to Donovan Davis. And when are you coming by? You guys, Jess and I are going to go out there and we're going to have dinner with him and hopefully have dinner with, Donovan, and we're gonna do that. But you say something and then if you're not out there in a week, like, bro, I'm booked for months. Like I'm going to. We love Greg.
I get it.
Okay, last donation that we haven't caught up to. If $20 from One Zephyr, if someone gives you information about a crime they've committed, can you use it as leverage to get time off of someone else's bid?
Yes, it's called a third party Rule 35, and there was a time when they did it a ton, but they will do it. And the fact of the matter is, if the government wants something that you've got bad enough, they will move mountains for it, right? Like sometimes they're like, well, it depends on what it is. So it's got to be something substantial, but then they will take it into consideration. And you say, look, like, I'm a regular citizen, but I know where they've got an ice lab in this house, and I know somebody who can help set that whole thing up and get you an ice lab, or a murder, but I don't need anything for this, but I would like consideration to go for my buddy who has a 10-year sentence for selling drugs. Then they will look it up and they'll come back. They'll say, absolutely. But it's good to get that information in advance, to get that agreement in advance. They're not going to promise you. They're going to say they'll take it into consideration, and it makes it even more solid if you get a lawyer involved.
Yeah. We did it at the FBI in Honolulu with the wives of inmates would get the drugs, be cooperating with the FBI on behalf of their husbands inside, get the drugs to the dirty correction officer to smuggle into the prison to get to their husband. And so it's really the wife who's cooperating with the FBI in full, but she's doing it for consideration for her husband who's locked up.
Yes.
All right, we got 753 viewers, so
Nice.
250 away.
All right.
We have 2 more donations, and then another question. Someone suggested for the game show podcast give Matt multiple choice.
Oh, I'd kill with multiple choice.
Is it 30 months, 36 months, or 42 months? They were that close
It'd
together?
have to be close.
No.
It'd have to be closer. Yeah, right? Yeah. Okay, so Gypsy donated $5 with a rhino emoji, and then Hot Somalian Bacon, I believe that's correct. I'm reading the screen far away. Wrist check. What are we wearing, fellas?
What's your watch? You got a fancy watch on. Is this your Trump watch? Is your Donald Trump watch?
And we just lost half the viewers.
Yeah. All right. Well, my watch. His watch is going to be offensive. My watch is kind of a funny story. But go ahead.
I bought the Trump watch. And let's see how many people did we just lose. Yeah, I bought the Trump watch
We're
off
at
of
735. We're down 15.
Just by saying the T word.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
Hilarious.
All right, so here's my story involving my watch. One of my early episodes, I wore my Apple Watch, and as I was on the show, text messages were coming in that one could see upside down if you zoomed in on it. And someone in the comments was like, I'm looking at your watch, man. I'm reading your like emails and text messages coming in. And so I went onto Amazon and I bought the cheapest fake fantasy watch. So this is some $15 watch from Amazon. This is what I wear on the show. And I literally keep it in the glove box of my car because I never wear it. I wear my iPhone watch. But when I go on your show, I put this watch on because I don't want people reading my text messages.
So the guy asked the watch question. He said that he said, I seen his ass trying to hide it away, talking about the watch. Quickly about the iPhone, just so you guys know, when the angle switches, I can actually see your screens a little bit. I don't know if you want to angle it.
My screen?
Is that bad?
I mean, it's not bad.
I'm just looking at the YouTube feed.
I'm just thinking if you get a text message or something from
Oh,
from
no,
somebody,
I don't have
might pop
anything.
up.
No one's texting me.
No.
Yeah. So
I'm not that likable.
all right, Gypsy.
God, look how tiny I look compared to Tom.
Oh, on the widescreen. This is why I never go widescreen right here.
Look.
So we're down to 728.
Hey, I have a question for you,
Yeah,
Colby.
yes.
As someone who edits your videos to make my reels, are you manually switching from Matt and I, or is somehow it automated where if it comes on my mic, then the camera clicks onto me?
I'm manually switching because I could set it up automated, but sometimes these guys have just this insane story that they're saying, and the better view is going back to Matt and looking at his facial reaction.
No, I agree. Okay, I was just curious.
So yeah, there is a way to automate it, but I'm manually switching, just because we got the different angles, the zoom angle and the wide angle.
Well, you know what's great is that people, because I'm actually looking like somebody's talking, I'll say something and I'm glancing at Colby like, bro, are you listening to this? Like, oh my God. But because Colby is literally, his eyes are just over the camera. So it looks like I'm looking right in the camera, but really I'm glancing at Colby like, oh my God, bro, did you hear that? And it's really the perfect setup.
Yeah, no, the angles are perfect. And Colby's contribution is fantastic. What else, Colby? Give us another question.
Let's see. This is not what I thought Colby looked like. Colby is hiding his left wrist. I don't know what that means.
He wants to know what watch you're showing.
I don't wear a watch.
Okay.
I should be putting my wedding ring on. Let's see. No other paid questions. So I actually did write down a few that were left. Okay, what's up with Juan Sanchez? People want to know. The last time he was here, he said he's going to be back in a week or so.
Oh, of course. He just disappeared. Like, I've texted him a few times, and that's what he does. He disappears for a while, and then for a couple of years, and just completely ignores you, and then he'll show back up, and we'll text a couple of times, and I'll say, hey, you should come on the show, and he'll come on the show. And then he'll disappear again.
Tell Tom Simon we got JT. What is that? Do you know what that is?
JT.
All right.
JT.
Well, while you think about that, here's a $10 question. Tom, does AI end up concentrating power into a few hands or fragmenting into chaos where everyone has offensive capabilities to attack others and landing somewhere in between?
It's a good question involving the power dynamic. I think it's going to concentrate money into a few corporate hands, because what's happening, and I'm seeing this already, is people in high-skilled jobs are getting laid off and having their jobs replaced by AI. Now, human beings are an expense item for corporations. And so corporations can make more and more money with the amount of people that they lay off. But eventually we're going to reach a tipping point where there's been so many people laying off that they're not going to have the money to buy the goods and services offered by these corporations. And so you're going to have corporations that are running super efficiently with very little workforce, and you're going to have incredibly high unemployment. And I'm not advocating for this as a public policy, but I think the only solution to that is going to be to tax the shit out of these corporations and generate a universal basic income for all Americans. I don't love that as an idea, but I think that's the only solution to the AI problem.
All right, Tom, $11 from Cyrus. Was your cover ever blown? And if so, what happened? Greetings from the Netherlands.
I had a long-term undercover assignment where one time I'm pushing around my 20-month-old daughter in a baby carriage at a public park in Chicago during a home visit while I was undercover. And I run into a person who was not a bad person, but someone who knew me in my undercover capacity. My cover story is that my sister had a kid who was 20 months old, and I was helping take care of her kid. And I had planned for that as my cover story, kind of my legend with the individuals who knew me in case this eventuality happened. But I was terrified that while I was at the park with my 20-month-old daughter, that she was going to call me daddy as she was coming down into my arms on the slide. And so pretty much as soon as she came down the slide, did not call me daddy. I said, well, it's good to see you. I took my kid, put her in the stroller and like hauled ass away. So my cover was never actually blown.
Matt, how tall are you? How are you doing? $2 from Craig Bryant.
I'm 5'6". I'm 5'7" if I have a good pair of shoes on. Yeah, 5'6".
But the more important part is, how are you doing?
I'm doing fine.
Okay.
You opened up an old wound.
Let's see. Tom, this is from Barley Bankroll, $6 Canadian.
All right.
Tom, you and Matt are a great duo. Matt, you should buy him a proper dinner, not Five Guys.
Well, the problem is we're in this oasis, we're in this island here at Matt's studio where there's really nothing around for a couple miles other than Five Guys.
Okay.
Yeah.
And Adrian
I like Five Guys.
said, you guys are awesome. $50 donation. And then one of the
What
comments.
is going on?
One of the
we
comments
may be doing
underneath
this once a month.
Well, one of the comments underneath it said, Matt, quit buying super chats. Saying that you're pumping up your.
Oh,
own
that you're
numbers.
donating the money to yourself.
Yeah.
It's kind of
Yeah.
a bit of a Ponzi scheme.
Yeah.
Matt is too cheap to donate money even to himself.
All right, that's all the paid questions currently.
Yeah,
So
He's 6 foot. Ask Wes Watson. Like, because Wes Watson's like 5'7" or 5'8" or something. He tells everybody, I'm 6 foot.
we are at 760. So we're coming up. Okay, Tom, this was from earlier in the chat.
Yeah.
What is one of your biggest mistakes in an investigation?
Okay, I have a good one. I'm trying to remember the circumstances, though. Okay, I had a case where the bad guy was taking money from pro football players to invest in an app that was going to be better than Zillow. Like, that was the rap. And I was in the very beginning of the investigation, and I was going to be calling a victim in the case. And but on the same piece of paper, I had the subject's name and phone number and the victim's name and phone number. I called the subject of the investigation and asked to speak to him. And he's like, yeah, sure, come on by. And then after I hung up, I was like, oh my God, I have a meeting with the subject of the investigation, and I'm not even ready to interrogate him. I was just terrified. I literally had called the wrong person as opposed to the victim of the investigation. Make sense? Did I explain that okay?
Yeah.
I have two names and two phone numbers on the same piece of paper. One of them is a victim that I need to interview in this investment fraud case.
Yeah.
And I'm trying to gather enough information so I can be smart when I walk in to interview the subject of the investigation. And so I was thrust into going to interview the subject of investigation when I really didn't know what he had done. And so I walk in. And so I keep my appointment because cat's out of the bag. I've lost any element of surprise. I'm kind of going in blind, and so I write out a confession for the guy to sign. I'm like, well, in for a dime, in for a dollar. So I write out a confession based on my understanding of the case. I'm interrogating him, and I'm going into him. I'm leaning into him. I'm turning the confession around. I'm saying, I don't think you're a bad. And he keeps saying like, this wasn't a fraud. I don't know what you're talking about. And then he tells me something that I did not know that I would have known had I actually done the investigation. He goes, I go. Bottom line is, you sold people the idea, NFL players, invested in your company because you're going to build an app, and you never built that app. You used that money for something else. And he goes, what are you talking about? I built the app. And I go, what are you talking about?
It's on the App Store right now.
It's exactly it. He pulls out his phone. He shows me the app on the App Store. I pull out my phone. It's there. And he had just done a very bad job of keeping his investors apprised of what was going on. The app was garbage.
Right.
The app was never going to be better than Zillow. And I said, oh my God, this isn't an investment fraud, is it? And he goes, it's not to fraud anyone. I'm hoping this thing will take off. I mean, the app is rudimentary. I hope to get more money to build it out. It was a crappy investment these NFL players made. It was not an investment fraud. And I'm not the bad investment police. I'm the investment fraud police. I apologized to him and told him that I did not know that he had actually created the app. I contacted the victims who had brought this case to me and said, the app is up and running. You invested in a crappy app. I wish you the best of luck. But if it wasn't for that terrible mistake of me going to interview this guy sooner, It never occurred to me to check the App Store to see if the app existed because it was so blatantly obvious to me that this thing was a fraud.
All right. A couple more donations have came in. So Alex said self-donation would be perfect money laundering. Laughing emoji. Tom, I saw you from Sin. Tom, I saw you on the game show. Great job.
Oh, thank you. Do we want to talk about what that is? I'll just say I was a guest recently on an ABC primetime game show called The Greatest Average American, hosted by comedian Nate Bargatze. And if you want to see my episode, it's available right now on Hulu in the US. Go to Hulu, type in The Greatest Average American, Season 1, Episode 8. You will see me compete against 2 other people in a quiz show, and the winner gets $67,000, which is the average American salary for 1 year. I'm not going to spoil it for you on whether I won or lost. Watch the show and let me know what you think.
All right, Tom.
I would love to say something right now, but it's fine. You ruined it. Sorry.
It's a
You can do
$10.
it. It's your show.
No,
do what
it's
you want.
fine, it's
I don't
fine.
get residuals. Anything.
It's
I
fine.
don't get paid for good ratings.
While Tom answers this question, the chat, we have 800 viewers, by the way, 200 away. Why Tom answers this question, I'm curious to, if you see a Tom video on YouTube, what makes you click? Because this question pertains to the most viewed video that we have of Tom, of the airplane scams. So
Nice.
Tom, do you have any more great airplane stories? Those were funny.
Yes. In the next episode that I film with Inside True Crime with Matthew Cox, I have an insane airplane story for you. And so what you should do, though, is tune in to the next time. Not this one. I mean, tune into this one, of course. But the next one that I'm on, which will probably air about a week after the show airs, will have an insane airplane story. So I'm gonna tickle your ass with a feather rather than blow it here.
All right,
Because I want Mac to actually have to guess the sentence.
Tom, are you on TRT or any other peptides?
I am definitely not on peptides, and I'm not on anything unprescribed by a doctor.
All right, serious question, Tom and Matthew. And I don't know what these are. What is your take on flock cameras in the deflock movement? You know what that is?
I have no idea what a flock camera
Oh,
is.
flock cameras are the cameras. You see them. You actually see them all over the place. You just don't realize, like, it's got a little. They have a little. Oh, come on, Matt. Whatever. It's got the little. What do they call them? Fuck all. And listen, I'm tired as fuck all right now. By the way.
Don't take it out on the audience.
It's the solar panels. They have a little solar panel, and there's like a little globe. And what they're doing is they're reading your tags.
Oh, yeah, sure.
And they're tracking your tags.
Right.
But law enforcement uses them to track people. So, and people are like, this is ridiculous. They're tracking us. They're this and that. But I feel
whether it's being uploaded into a database that can later be recalled with, yeah. Now, my
know.
private investigative agency used to subscribe to a service that used flock cams, so I could put the cheating husband's license plates in a car and see if it happened to have been parked at the Motel 6. Those are mostly in lots. Like there are these contractors who have like tow truck companies who just go through with the camera on the side. They basically install cameras on the side of tow trucks and just begin like harvesting all that data. The thing is, it's sort of like, it's actually very much like the NSA collection, where they're collecting all this information for later retrieval, as
Right.
opposed to collecting that information and developing a profile on where every person goes. I think it's a fantastic thing. I love it
yeah, I don't have a problem
because
with
it's a way to
it.
catch crimes after they have been committed by. It's just like cell phone tracking.
All right. So the comment said that they think the airplane video, did well because it was associated with a viral clip, which we've kind of, assumed as well. So for this next episode, we do have a viral story attached to it.
Yeah.
But if you have any other suggestions of viral stories you'd want to see these two cover, let us know in the comment section below. So this one is from One Zephyr. He's donated quite, probably 3 times so far. So part 1, this is for Tom. Tom, from the PI angle, are there preemptive strategies that white hats can use to discover scam victims while they're being worked instead of after they've been cleaned out entirely? And a white hat, I don't know what that is.
Like
White House, like a
do-gooders on the
yeah,
internet.
okay.
Yeah. I don't think so. I mean, other than just talking to the people in your life, and if they tell you about this great investment opportunity, or I'm making a fortune in cryptocurrency, I'm doubling my money every 90 days, to kind of hear them out and gain a better understanding. I mean, not to get sappy, but that's why. I'm obviously promoting my private investigative agency, and I'm also telling funny stories here. But I also see part of my mission to be to educate the public about scams and swindles, frauds, so they don't fall victim to that. And so, So that's what I do. I try to let people know. So when someone calls me up and says, so when somebody Googles like, "Hey, I'm dating Keanu Reeves and I've been sending him money because the IRS has seized his bank account," then I've told the story of these "I'm dating Keanu Reeves" scams, and maybe they'll recognize it or Google search and it'll pop up. So that's what I do. I don't know that there's any mechanism out there for like do-gooders and vigilantes on the internet to try to catch these scams in progress.
So this might be this is a follow-up to the same question, another $10 donation. Do organizations actually exist that do this kind of proactive intervention, or is it mostly just general cheesy awareness campaigns from banks and other institutions?
Yeah, sorry, go ahead.
Yeah, it's awareness campaigns.
Yeah, I was going to say, I think that the banks, since I think that now most banks educate the tellers, because after being sued multiple times or having to repay, retirees, life savings, that now when you go in, when an older person will go into the bank and say, "Oh, I need to remove $15,000 in cash," where they used to be like, "Sure, ma'am," and they just give them the money. Where now they're like, "Okay," they'll look at their bank records and go, like, this woman, she removes $200 every month or so, like now $15,000 in cash, and now they'll say, "Ma'am, why are you removing this cash?" Now, and people might say, "Oh, that's none of your business." No, wait a minute. They now the tellers now they're kind of trained to spot someone who's being scammed, and they're like, "Is someone asking you? Have you been approached by the IRS or someone telling you that you need to give them this money, or is this money going to someone? Like, you don't have to tell me exactly, but is this?" And they'll start to discuss with them what the reason is, because what happens is some old person will come in and say, "I want $15,000 in cash." They'll give them 15 grand or 20 or whatever they can get out. Yeah. And they give it to them. And then that woman or that retiree, he goes and he puts it in a bag, or he mails it to somebody, or he puts it in a box and drops it off somewhere.
Or on a cryptocurrency ATM.
Or a cryptocurrency ATM. And he gets taken. And then when his daughter finds out a month later that they've been wiped out, their father's been wiped out, and they go to the bank and say, "Why did you give him $15,000?" They're like, "Well, he asked." But
the banks now the tellers are getting a lot more training now than they did in the past.
Yeah.
To say, "Can you explain to me what transaction you're going to be entering into?"
And in a way, it's none of their business, but in another way, it kind of they're an old person, and they should be to a degree they should be coddled and looked after, and
they're vulnerable victims.
Yeah, exactly. Like, so I don't think there's anything wrong with that.
All right, so someone suggested a poll, so we polled the audience, and what percentage of the Matt Cox audience, all 792 viewers, think that the Earth is flat?
This is, it's a real thing, right?
I know there's people out there who are flat earthers. Yeah. I think that they're not sincere in their belief. Do you think so?
Absolutely.
You think flat earthers actually believe the Earth
is
flat? And it's not just like a gag?
Listen, I think that 20% of society doesn't believe we even went to the moon. Do you understand that Danny Jones has argued with me about whether we went to the moon or not? It's not a bit. He absolutely believes. And I'll sit there and argue and say, "You understand? So you think that there's like 6 other countries that have gone, or 7 other countries that have gone to the moon, and that they actually photographed the landing sites of the Apollo missions, and they can see the tracks for the moon lander, and they can see the flag. Like you think he's like, "No, I'm not saying that we didn't send some stuff up there. I'm saying that a man never." And I'm like, "Are you out of your fucking mind? Like, you don't think that 100,000 people worked at NASA and they all are covering it up? Like, you can't get 3 people to keep a lie."
That makes me want to cry into my purple drink.
But but there are people that, and then they start arguing about the Van Allen belt and radiation and all these things that you don't even know anything about. Like, shut up! You talk to some weirdo who's convince you it's not possible. You're not using your head.
In the old days before the internet, if you had some crazy belief system, you weren't able to commune with others who had that crazy belief
system. So you very
system.
quickly were shut down and you became reasonable again. But that's not what's happening, Tom.
There's an echo chamber with people like that.
Right. And the average IQ is dropping in the United States.
Really?
Oh, absolutely. They just did a census, and since they've been
globally, like, I just feel like more and more people rely on AI, and they're just on their phone, TikTok. Immediately, let me just ask ChatGPT. Like, they're not critically thinking for themselves.
I mean, So what was that, the IQ question or the?
I mean, that's on the IQ. Like, I think it would be dropping.
No, I think it is dropping. Partially it's because
we have more information, but we don't have to logic and reason our way into it.
Yes.
So those muscles are atrophying.
Probably a combination of that, and we're importing from countries with low IQs. So when you end up,
that was Matt Cox who said that. Not
it is
me.
absolutely true.
Okay.
And so what's happening is, now you're just relying on AI to answer any questions you have and whatever it comes up with. And you really can't even ChatGPT will lie to you.
Mm-hmm.
Listen.
Oh, yeah.
The other day it told Jess she was like 40 years old, or she's like 40. I'm not 40 years old. Like, somehow it came in. She goes, how old? I was born on this date. How old am I? And it said it again. And then she said, no, I'm 39 years old, whatever she said. Yeah. And then it said, please look into it again. It looked into it again. It came back and said, well, wow, I'm so sorry. You're right. This is math.
Hey, Colby, Oksana, who donated $300 to you, had a question for me about what the trends we are seeing in real estate fraud. And I think Oksana is a very successful realtor in my town. I think the big thing that you could do, Oksana, and this is going to come off as really disingenuous, but it is from the heart, is right now what we're seeing a lot of is home title theft, where people go and I know I hate to do this, Matt, because we're both sponsored by the same company, but we are seeing a bunch of cases, and I go on shows and talk about it, where people will go in there and try to steal the equity from your house by switching the title of we live in St. Johns County, the St. Johns County Clerk's Office, switching the title to either the bad guy's name or a synthetic identity's name, and then go out and get loans or sell the house out from under you. It happens to a lot more senior citizens and sometimes vacant land, but you don't even know what happened until months later when the foreclosure notices come in. So I just wanted to answer Oksana's question because she kicked $300 to the show that I'm never going to see.
Okay, so what percentage of, people are still arguing about the moon being, or about the earth being flat.
Oh my God.
So what percentage voted yes for flat of the comments?
What
percentage voted?
Are you asking me?
What percentage of your audience?
Yes.
My audience.
You have to get it within 25%.
Yeah.
I would say that there's probably only 2% that believe that the earth is flat. I'd say there's 20% believe that we never went to the moon.
That wasn't the question, though.
Okay.
There was actual poll.
Earth or flat?
Oh, there was?
There's a poll in the chat. Those 57 There's 57 answers. Yes or no, is the earth flat? What is the percentage? This is just like...
What percentage of your audience feels that the earth is flat?
5%?
This is like Tom's...
5%?
This is like your great everyday average American, whatever the game show was.
Let's say 5% believe that.
Matt or Tom, you saw the answer?
I did.
Okay.
What is it?
25%.
But they're trolling. They don't believe that. They're having fun. They're having fun in the chat to get a rise out of you and I.
Yeah, listen, please stop. Please.
I refuse to admit this. I love your audience.
Someone said...
So embarrassed.
Someone said... I'm paraphrasing, but here's the donation. So forget that. How do some people think wasting United Healthcare CEO was a good thing? You should poll that. It's riveting. $10.
I agree. I think it is. Listen, we may not like United Healthcare, but the idea that we're going to be going into cities and shooting a man in the back who has like a wife and kids and a family and a job that you may not appreciate, and maybe it's a company that's doing more harm than good. But that is not the solution. That is not the nation I want to live in. So these Luigi lovers make me sick. And guess what? If he were an ugly black guy, these Luigi lovers wouldn't be loving him as much.
Yeah, they'd want to hang him right now.
He's a handsome white guy, but he's this folk hero now because he's like Ted Bundy, this dreamy killer.
Someone wanted to know, and this kind of goes along with the conspiracy stuff. Matt, do you keep in touch with Danny? And people say they love your like they said it's something about boomer logic, how you just believe everything.
Oh yeah, the
government,
you
what the government tells you.
So the quote that
how many times have you been on Danny's show?
Oh gosh, 10 times at least. And do I keep in touch with Danny? I text.
So you are to Danny what I am to you. Kind of a recurring guest on the show.
Maybe a few years ago, right?
No, you're on a lot more, and I would say, and we have a different show, so I understand why I'm not on his show more. And the thing is, if I called up Danny and said, "Bro, I want to be on your show. I got something to talk about," he'd go, "Absolutely." Yeah, and he would do it because he doesn't even care that it's only going to get 100,000. He didn't care that it's not going to get his normal, like if let's say he gets 300,000, 350,000 every single show. even though he knows if I have him on, Matt on, is might only get 100. He didn't care. He'd be like, absolutely come, because he has people that are interested in seeing, right? So, but I probably, it's funny with Danny, like I won't hear from him for 2 or 3 weeks, and then he'll text me like 4 to 5 times within a week, and then so yeah, I definitely keep in contact with him. But the comment, the boomer comment, which is so funny because like I'm not a boomer, but
we're Gen Xers,
yeah. So, but it's that because basically I have an argument every time he brings up one of these ludicrous conspiracies and I shoot it down, is that guys in the comment will say, Matt Cox has never heard an official narrative he doesn't believe. So it's like, which is silly, but kind of true. But no, I just don't believe the insanity. No. That's really what it is.
You are correct. Danny is wrong about these issues.
Yeah, it's.
But how many calories do you want to spend in your life burning, to explain to people that they've logicked their way into a cul-de-sac?
Right.
Yeah.
I do have to say one thing that I absolutely was wrong on.
Okay.
And I think you were in the same exact position that growing up, I believed, and in general, and to a degree I still believe this because it's probably true, is that people that believed in UFOs were absolute nut jobs. And now I believe there are UFOs.
Okay, let's talk about this.
Does that make sense?
This is fascinating. I have thoughts on that because I get asked about this a lot as someone who spent my entire adult life in the FBI. If I'm aware of some kind of alien cover-up, and I always would say no, and I feel vindicated about that. And we'll get into the UFO thing in a minute because the things that are coming out right now about unexplained aerial phenomena or UFOs, where's it coming from? It's coming from the FAA and the Department of Defense, because those are the two agencies that have eyes in the sky, right? The FBI doesn't have an Air Force. So I feel a little vindicated that the revelations that are coming out right now aren't coming out from the FBI, because I would have been very disappointed knowing that my fellow agents were involved in a cover-up of that magnitude, because that's not what we do. And however, on the UFO thing, here's my problem with it, even with the kind of grainy, crazy footage and things flying in the sky that there's no explanation for. Aliens were very common and UFOs were very commonly being seen during your youth and my youth in the 70s and the 80s. Then we get into the mid-90s, it's still happening. And then something that happens around the year 2000, maybe a little beyond that, probably more like 2010, is every man, woman, and child on planet Earth is now walking around with a high-definition video camera in their pockets at all times.
Right.
Most of us are walking around staring at it at all times. Guess what's dried up? UFO sightings to humans that aren't 30,000 feet in the air, and alien sightings. Okay, so what does that tell me? That the aliens just happen to stop flying around our neighborhoods and stop like impregnating like country girls in Alabama, or was it all just bullshit to begin with, Matt Cox?
Yeah, I think the bulk of it was bullshit to begin with. What I do think is that these pilots see things, and
they're in a position to know what Eric,
and I believe those grainy whatever, and I believe that the congressional hearings and stuff. Do I believe they exist? Yes. Do I believe that they're scooping up people and doing experiments and anal probing them and killing cows and doing whatever? I don't believe any of that.
No.
And
it all went away when we all had high definition cameras in our phones.
And it's never that I didn't believe. I definitely believe that there's intelligent life out there.
Mm-hmm.
But I used to not believe. What I used to say was that, but there's absolutely no proof or reason for them to come here. They don't need our water. They don't need our planet. They don't. If they can span the distance of 100,000 light years, anything we could provide them, they've already conquered.
We also run into the time problem that human beings, as we are now, have only existed for about 70,000 years, which is just a spit in the ocean as far as the length of the length and breadth of the universe. So the idea is that there's aliens, there is now or has been aliens from another planet in this vast universe seems perfectly reasonable to me. The fact that they may choose to visit us and make contact with humans during this very thin slice of humanity of 70,000 years seems improbable to me.
Right.
Given the length of the history of the universe and the space and the literal size problem on how they're going to get here in time.
Well, I think at this point, I think it's possible that they're here, having interaction with us. Maybe, I don't know.
And maybe having some masking ability to mostly stay invisible, like a stealth bomber does. And just showing yourself a little bit at a time to a plane, an Air Force pilot at 30,000 feet who happened to capture it.
What I've heard, the most reasonable explanation I've heard is that they are here, and there's massive amounts of them or some presence underneath the ocean, right? Because the bulk of our planet is covered by ocean,
Right.
and that they actually, and keep in mind those Navy pilots, like they were saying, like they were shooting into the water and they were traveling under the water at massive speeds, and then of course they were coming out. There were all these different things happening. So could they be living, or there be a civilization or some presence underneath the water? Yes, because we assume, oh, well, they would need our atmosphere and this. No, they probably, the truth is, if they evolved somewhere else, our atmosphere is probably poison to them. Just like our atmosphere, just like us going somewhere else, the likelihood is poison.
Yeah.
Is it possible that they are here and have been here and are living under Earth? Just like we're not really paying attention much to octopus, right? We live on land. We know they're there. Okay, we go every once in a while. We grab one and do something, but we know they're there. They don't bother us. We don't bother them. That's probably how they feel about us. Like, well, we know there are these things up here, and they're actually now leaving the planet, which we've been doing for thousands of years. And but there's no reason for us to interact with them. And every once in a while, we fly by, and they're actually got these plane things flying around them. So I think it's like that.
I'm agnostic on the idea that these things that the military is seeing are in fact alien spacecraft.
What do you think?
I'm open to the idea.
Yeah.
I'm open to the idea of that. I just think that the actual contact with bug-eyed monsters has all been horseshit all along.
Oh well. Oh yeah. Yeah. No, I agree with that. And then of course I love the idea that they're really running things and they've got an agreement with. Like, they don't need. Yeah. Do you understand that they wouldn't need anything? Oh no, they need our this. Water is abundant everywhere. They don't need our water. They don't need food. They don't need our fuel. They don't need anything. If they're able to travel at light speed, they've already beaten all the things that we could give to them. Oh well, they want gold. There's gold everywhere.
Yeah.
Any asteroid out there in the asteroid belt has 1,000,000 times what our planet has can provide. That we don't have any. There's no reason.
All right, what's the percentage? Have aliens made contact with human? What's the percentage vote from the audience?
There's a poll.
I mean, made contact, or that we actually have 100%
have
proof.
Aliens made contact with humans? Yes or no?
Do they count a pilot seeing from afar?
I don't know. This is just what we asked. That's the question
If
asked.
it's have we seen them? Absolutely yes. Has there been a meeting? Does Trump and
The lizard people?
Yeah, does Trump meet with the lizard people? Biannually to discuss that they're how to run the humans like.
So
no,
70-30.
To me,
70,
that's no.
70% yes, 30% no.
Wow, that's
All right,
high.
I need to
That's
hit
too high.
I need to hit some questions that were
Yeah,
donations.
yeah, do that. Yeah, we're getting.
So this was to Tom.
Yeah.
And this is probably referring back to something he said about CIA or FBI or something. Hold on. This is from Hot Somali and Bacon. Hot
funny.
Somali
Hot Somali bacon
and bacon.
And bacon.
I was thinking of Somali and bacon. So hot Somali, salami and bacon. Okay.
Is it
I was gonna
salami or
say,
Somali?
Yeah, salami makes sense.
Salami.
You're saying Somali.
Somali's funny.
I have been saying Somali.
Yeah, Somali
it's-
bacon's
Somalis
funny.
are Muslim. They don't want to go near
Yeah,
bacon.
I don't have the greatest education.
Somali bacon.
Yeah. So,
Right. It's like Amish tech support.
yes. So he says, "Hold on, Tom. You can't be serious. The Alphabet Boys care about the lives they ruin. Just a hash to their sleeve? Question mark. They use and abuse even civilians."
No, this person's full of shit. Every person who's sitting in federal prison is there because they made bad decisions in their lives. The FBI didn't ruin your life. You ruined your life. Next question.
All right, Brandy Carsons. I love you both. $2. All right.
That's the right answer.
On a scale from 1 to 10, how useless is the EPA? And I don't even know what that is.
Okay, the Environmental Protection Agency is as useful as the executive branch of government allows them to be, right? So the EPA will go and make big cases against corporations that are pouring poisonous material into a creek that runs into the groundwater and poisons communities. During administrations that seem to care about that type of thing, but other administrations feel that the EPA is getting in the way of corporations making lots of money and will hogtie them and not allow them to enforce environmental laws. It's one of the agencies most susceptible to the political winds.
All right, Glare, $5 donation. The only reason aliens come to visit is because it's like taking your kids to the zoo. Okay, so here's a question that could spark a little bit of a conversation.
Okay, you're right on.
One Zephyr, a $10 donation. What are some common legal scams of today? The stuff that is technically legal but highly sus and clearly designed to screw people over.
I got
like
two. I got
those
two.
of traveling real estate,
Three.
traveling estate auctions that roll from town to town. I don't know.
Okay, so one would be a crypto rug pull, right? So you released the Matt Cox coin, and it begins at a value of $1. It goes up to a value of $10. You own a certain percentage of them because you were the person who released the coin, and then you do a rug pull, like the Hawk Tua girl is alleged to have done, and you sell all your shares real quick at $10. Then the whole thing collapses, and you've done. It's like a pump and dump, but it's called a rug pull, and it's perfectly legal. So that's one. The other would be, I would argue that multi-level marketing is a bad economic model, and which is perfectly legal because the MLM industry pays a lot of money lobbying the Federal Trade Commission and state attorneys general to make sure that MLMs remain perfectly legal. So those are two.
All right, we're all caught up on the paid questions. Trying to find a good.
Somebody asked me about a gym update. Jess and I were going to the gym straight for about 2-3 weeks. I recently got sick a few days ago. Well, first of all, this is how dedicated. We went to San Diego for 4 days and went to the gym every single day, except for the day where we went. Actually, we even went the day we flew. And then we came back. We went the next day when we came back. And then it wasn't until I went to Austin for 3 days that I didn't go to the gym while I was in Austin. And then I went to Ohio and started feeling sick. So I didn't go there. And then I've been sick ever since then, which has been so I haven't been in the gym in about a week. And tomorrow I'm not going to go because I'm on the mend. But the next day we're definitely going to the gym. And we were doing cardio. We were doing the elliptical for 25 minutes. In 25 minutes, I was doing over 2 miles in 25 minutes, like 2.3. No, I was working out too. No, I was always working out.
Yeah.
Jess wasn't quite making it to 2 miles at 25 minutes. So I was like 2.3, 2.4. So I'm booking it.
Good.
So I was doing really well, but then it's been a week, so now I'm already dreading.
It's going to take about 10 days before your muscles start atrophying at all. You can afford a week off.
Yeah. I was going to say, like, I'm already
a week off would probably do me a lot of
dreading.
good because I'm constantly in aching and in pain.
I was too. It's like I wasn't, because I was only taking Sundays off, so I wasn't recouping.
Jess says she's been to the gym today.
Oh no! That's right. Yeah, Jess has been going. Jess has been going without me.
How did you two become such good friends? Such a phenomenal duo.
I don't even know.
How did we become such good friends, Matt Cox?
I mean, you just came on the show. You came on the show, and we started. It's funny because came on the show, and then you came on the show once. We told your story, and you left. And then what was it? A month later, we got a text that said, "What are your thoughts about?" It was. How do you feel the performance of the video was? And I was just like, I mean, it did well. Like I don't. Like nobody asked that, And then
Nobody wants to get big numbers when they go on your show.
They do, but I don't think they. But you came back and you said, "What about?" And then you had you said, "Hey, I was thinking about what if I come back on the show and do this? How would you feel about that?" And I was like, "Yeah." You explained the whole telling stories about and the game show.
This is one of those things. This is one of those things where you remember it quite differently than I do.
Okay,
and I remember it correctly.
Because I don't think it was a game show at first. No. It was.
I did 3 kind of back-to-back episodes, probably 6 weeks, 8 weeks apart from each other. My first three episodes were.
But you did one, and then we didn't do another one for a while.
Right, maybe 8 weeks, maybe a month or 2. Yeah, and so my first 3 episodes with you were me telling my story, the stories of cases that I worked, my life story, and telling you the story of cases that I had involvement with.
Yes.
Tango King, Perry Griggs, kind of like my greatest hits.
I feel like that's very similar to what I just said.
No, there was no game show.
No, that's what I said. It wasn't the game. You said, what if I came on, I told stories, and I said, then I think it evolved into the game.
No. Here's what happened. After the 3rd episode, we're in your kitchen. I go, Matt, listen, this is really fun. I really, really enjoyed doing your show, and I really enjoyed kind of getting to know you. But this is it. This is going to be my last appearance on the show because I've told every story I have except for a couple like small embezzlement cases that are going to be very similar to the other stories. So listen, I just want to thank you. And you're like, well, maybe we could figure out something. We're shaking hands in your kitchen. I go, we could figure out something that'd be fine. So I go home and talking to the bride, and I was like, yeah, I really enjoyed doing that guy's show. It was really good, but I kind of ran out of things. And she goes, well, wait, why don't you just go on his show and tell FBI stories that maybe you didn't even investigate, but just kind of are fun stories. That's what you do every day on your social media. And so I reached out for you a few weeks later and said, hey, here's a thought. My wife had an idea. And if you don't want to do it, don't have to do it. But what if I just came on and told FBI stories? And even if they weren't cases that I worked, and we could sort of take these stories apart. And so we did that for a couple episodes. And then the game show evolved from that, where it was kind of a fun thing for me to talk about the story, and then at the end say, well, what do you think he got? And then you guess, and then that evolved into the game show. So I think the first 5 episodes were us kind of feeling our way around.
I never said 5. I thought it was maybe. I knew we talked a couple of times. We did a couple videos after that where you told stories, and then it evolved. Then I assumed
I think we're remembering that correctly.
By 4, I figured we were doing the game show.
No, I may have been asking you what you think the sentence was, but that was just something that spontaneously popped into my head to make it fun. But then we formalized the game by about my episode 6. And I think
so your wife designed the game show, really?
She designed the idea of me coming in to tell stories that weren't mine because I thought I would never see you again. Okay. Right, because I literally just shot my wad. The idea of me.
So you were at home with your wife trying to come up with a way to be in my presence again because you really liked me. I get it.
She is the fan.
There's no shame.
She's a fan.
There's no shame in that.
All right, we have a $200 donation. Ooh. But first, the $2 donation. Matt, are you still on probation?
No.
Okay.
No. Okay. I've been off probation for in this July it will be 2 years I've been off probation.
Okay, $200 from Ricky Ventura for Tom. Okay. If Matt found himself on the run as the most wanted again for a nonviolent crime, and you were still an active agent and you cornered him alone, what would your reaction be to each other in this type of encounter? Would you consider letting Matt go, being the friends you are?
Okay, so 2 answers.
They're never going to let him be the person.
So there's 2 answers
to come after me, right?
Yeah, right. So if I had if you were a friend of mine and you broke, and I was an FBI agent and you broke bad, I would have to recuse myself from that case.
Right.
I have a conflict of interest. There's no way I can be involved in that case. I can't even be in the room when the agents are discussing it.
Right.
Okay. That said, let's imagine that was the case.
We're both walking through International Mall,
and
eyes locked.
And I round exactly. And you're a fugitive. Guess what? I'm bringing my friend Matt Cox in because I took an ough of office, and I take my oath. I take my oaths seriously.
I see us walking through International Mall. As we walk by. We our eyes catch. He knows I'm on the run. He's not looking for me. He's not on the. And I see Tom look at me. And I walk, and we both walk by each other, and I think Tom is immediately picking up the cell phone.
Look at that, drawing my gun.
Call it a tip as I start fast walking like a soccer mom.
Matt, I would shoot you in the back like Luigi did.
and then if Tom turns around at any point, I start running like an 8-year-old doing the windmill, running through the fucking. And Tom's jogging like a gazelle, gracefully, because he's tall and athletic. And I'm knocking people over.
Yeah, no, I would never be assigned to the case, but if my brother was listen, and then I would arrest you, and I would say, Matt, get a lawyer and put up the most vigorous defense you could.
Do the right thing, Matt.
Yeah. Throw us another one, Colby.
All right. Another question. No more paid questions at the time.
That's okay.
Let's see. Okay, Tom, this is for you. What are your thoughts on the 2 CIA officers who were recently killed in Mexico? Do you know anything about that?
First, I've heard about it.
Okay,
I wouldn't really. That wouldn't hit my radar screen because CIA is not FBI.
Okay.
If there were FBI agents killed, I would know a lot about it.
So, I wonder how they were killed. I wonder what happened.
$10.
Now I want to look it up.
$10. Do you guys like fast cars? Are you car guys?
They're better than slow cars. We both drive Toyotas.
Yeah, I have a Toyota FJ, a 2007. It's so funny. You know, Johnny Mitchell was saying to me that he's like, what did he think? He said, I figured you were going to pull up in like a fucking European supercar or something. And I'm like, what? Like, no, I'm cheap, bro.
With what money?
Yeah, what are you talking about?
I drive a Lexus, but it's nothing special.
You want to hear something funny?
Yeah.
So, listen, you don't know who Johnny Mitchell is, but I do we have another YouTube channel.
This is your murder show.
Yes, the Murder Men podcast, which is another
You
channel.
guys should watch and subscribe. It's a good show.
It is. But what's funny is that, like, I'm not typically impressed by Johnny Mitchell. But what the most impressive thing was? Because I figured it just like, okay, so, you know, people have they see you and they have this vision of who you are, right? Mm-hmm. And then they get to know you, and then things shock them, right? People like Johnny Mitchell thought I'm driving a sports car, and I absolutely knew in my head he's driving something. He's driving, he's driving a Mercedes, or he's driving something. He has like a 2010 like Honda Prelude or something. I mean, this thing is ancient. And I'm thinking like this guy is making. He's got 1.4 million subs. Every video he puts out gets hundreds of thousands of views. He's putting out 2 a month. He's got a great Patreon. Great. I mean, we aspire to be at the level he's at. Mm-hmm. He pulls up in this fucking thing that he had paid off when he started his podcast 5 years ago. It's a piece of garbage.
A shocking number of millionaires and billionaires drive very common cars.
And that's what he said. He said, why would I do that? He said, why would I do that when I can just put that money into go buy some gold?
Yeah, Dave Ramsey, you know him?
Yeah, of course.
Yeah, he says that the dumbest thing anyone does when they make money is to spend it on a car because you're buying an asset that depreciates a ton.
And you know what's funny? Every time I also realized when I was out there doing real estate, and I would meet like any hard money lender I ever bought, who they've clearly got $3, $4, $5 million plus probably another $5 million credit line with a bank.
Yeah.
Every one of them was driving a 10 or 15-year-old vehicle. Mm-hmm. They're blue jeans and T-shirts. Like you look at these guys and you think like you're driving a 15-year-old Volvo. Not only are you driving an old vehicle, but you're driving an old ugly vehicle. Like you don't care at all. Yeah. They all live in a $2 million house because that house appreciates. That vehicle's a piece of garbage, and I will drive it into the ground. Yeah. And it's just smart because they're not caught up in I have to look at me. No.
Yeah, that's the last thing in my mind.
All right, Tom, would you go back on the Goblin podcast? And what is the Goblin podcast?
What is that?
Yeah, Goblin is this guy. It's the Goblin, the Gobcast. Yes. This super nice guy, former drug addict, former drug dealer, maybe. Lives in the Valley in Los Angeles, had me on his show. One of these kind of like you and I, very strange. He's like more into the drug scene, but he's clean and sober now. And very similar where they was kind of, everyone's like shocked that I'm going on his show the same way they're shocked that I didn't really get to know the guy that well, but he flew me out there. Could not have been a nicer guy. We had this incredibly great conversation. And then he put me on a plane and sent me home, and the show did really good numbers. Would I go back? Yeah, absolutely. I like the guy. But his show is very popular. It's probably a generation younger than you and I. I feel like he's like 28, 29 years old.
Are you seeing other podcasters?
I gotta make a living because all my fans who are donating money to this think that some of it's gonna flow into my pocket, or it's totally mistaken. Yeah, but no, the answer is yeah. It's a good show. I think you should go on it. Actually,
that's what the guy is commenting. He's like, see if Matt will go on. See if Matt will go on.
You don't have a great drug history, and a lot of his stuff is drug stuff. But I
was gonna say
your drug history is about as interesting as mine.
What you talk about your addiction to what? To opiates? I mean, come on. What?
No. But a disproportionate amount of his guests are telling drug stories.
So one of the questions were, Tom, as an FBI agent, let's just say you're walking around the mall and you saw someone committing a crime. Do you have the ability to be like, you're under arrest, FBI?
Yes, FBI agents may intervene in local crimes that they witness personally if they can. But what you're really doing is
Like a citizen's
it's not a citizen's arrest because you're a sworn law enforcement officer, but you're really holding them until the police get there. So it functions the same. I mean, in theory, I could handcuff them and all that. And every once in a while, there's an FBI agent who's in like in the bodega when it gets robbed and stuff like that. So it happens. It never happened to me though.
So do you catch any flack for being associated with Matthew Cox? That's one of the comments. And they specifically asked about your FBI friends.
Yeah.
So I don't know if
I think you've said fans or followers of yours have been like, I can't believe you went on that guy's podcast.
People are surprised that we get along. I get that a lot, that we're friends. And not like no one has taken me aside and said you're making the FBI look bad or you're discrediting yourself or anything like that, because I have lots of good arguments about why that's not true. No, I mean, I guess there's been people who were surprised. A lot of people see the clips with you and I, but they don't necessarily know your backstory. And so like a ton of people will come up to me and goes, dude, I love the clips from your podcast. And I go, I don't have a podcast. And they go, no, you and that guy. And I go, oh yeah, no, it's his podcast. I'm just a regular guest. I go out every month and talk to him. He's a friend. And they go, what's his story? I go, he was a criminal. He went to prison for like 13 years. And they're like, are you kidding me? And you go on his show? And so you get some of that. It's more incredulous than shame on you. Yeah. I've never had anyone shame me for going on your show.
So while I'm looking for a better question, Matt, I know you've already answered this, but do you ever have the urge to commit any type of fraud, identity fraud, mortgage fraud again?
No, I'd say the first probably 2 or 3 years when I got out of prison, I did, because I was struggling so much, and it was super comforting to me to think about it. But it doesn't really. It doesn't. I don't even know if it was it was probably an urge, but it's certainly not an urge anymore. The last few years, it's like I have so many other things to focus on and think about and focus my time on, and so I don't think about it anymore. But
this is kind of a follow up to that, since you've answered that plenty of times on other shows. If you could have gone back to being a loan officer after prison, would you have?
I really liked being a mortgage broker, but I wonder to myself, was a part of that that kind of the excitement of committing fraud. So in combination.
Here's a dumb question. I mean, this may be so ignorant. Are you banned from the industry?
Well, you have to be licensed. So I couldn't possibly get a license, because if you have an act of moral turpitude, then you can't get a license. Like if I was a murderer or a drug dealer, I could become and I met a guy that actually did like 11 years for murder and went out and came back and actually got his.
So there's some licensing board. Is it state by state?
Yes.
Or
yeah. So if you have
is it the government?
Purple Haze says yes, you're banned.
Oh, no, yeah, that's what I'm saying. I am banned.
Sorry, I wasn't listening. I thought you guys are.
I can't get one because I have an act of moral turpitude, right? Like I took advantage of someone, and I definitely took advantage of a position of trust. So I would never be licensed, and that's why I was saying, well, you have to be licensed. So yeah, no, I'm not going to. But it's not to say that you can't become a mortgage broker if you have a felony. You can, but if it was a violent felony or it was drugs or something, you could get.
Isn't that crazy?
It is, but I also understand it because. They're saying you're not trustworthy.
What if you were a bank robber? Is that moral turpitude? Like if you were sticking a gun in a teller's ear?
I don't think so. Well, once again, you know what it is? It's the argument of you go in front of the board and you can make that argument.
Okay.
But some of people are shoo-ins.
Is the board a government board or an industry board?
No, it's a government. It's a government
state.
Yeah, it's the Department of Banking and Finance in Florida.
The state of Florida.
State of Florida.
Yes. Okay. All right. So
Every state
has that you're banned from the industry.
So Tom, as a former FBI agent, and I don't know if there is a difference in this, but which do you miss most? The thrill of the hunt or the thrill of the catch?
The catch, in as much as in fraud cases, the catch for me was confronting the bad guy, sitting across the table from them, patting them on the shoulder, saying, buddy, I understand what you did. And did that whole interrogation process and watching them kind of break down and confess something to me when it's against their legal self-interest to do so. And when they signed that confession, it was like an orgasm every time.
God.
Okay, here's a good question. This is from one Zeph. He's been donating all night, $10. Tom and Matt, for each of you, what is the biggest problem or opportunity in your business right now that you would like to solve? And maybe someone in this audience could help you. All 799 of them.
What was that a question for me?
For both. Like, what's the biggest?
I was reading something.
So what's like the biggest obstacle right now?
For what?
Like in the business or like whatever. Like I would say, for example, like from my perspective in the podcast is how do we get better guests and how do we just continually to grow the podcast to become like not become complacent with what exactly we're doing, but how do we get better guests and how do we stop a lot of our clips channels from being banned?
I was just thinking that.
How do we prove that this is us? Because we have over 500 podcasts. I would love to be posting 100 clips a day, knowing that these clips across all these channels will not be banned. But right now, they're just getting shut down.
Yeah, we get stuff shut down all the time on TikTok and YouTube.
TikTok, and we had a YouTube clips channel like demonetized. Like this isn't you.
Yeah, because and what they're saying is that this isn't Matt Cox's channel. Someone is using Matt Cox's stuff or his content and repurposing it.
It's an algorithmic problem,
right? And the problem is that we then appeal it. And we'll even take a photo of me with the channel and my license, like going like, hey, this is me and this is my channel. We have another channel, and then it's not like it's a constant problem.
Yeah, it's AI moderation problem.
Right. So even though we've even recut, we're not even putting the same shorts or the same TikToks on the additional channel. We're recutting them in a way, and it doesn't matter. It's a problem. They want you to put content on, but then when you do it, they're not helping. They're not helpful. Yeah. And then yet somebody else can put up can steal all of our stuff, start a whole new channel, and it can be up for a month and a half. And we're telling YouTube, this channel's not me. Take this channel down, and it's been up 6 weeks. Yeah. Like ours is getting ducked down. These guys are the fraudsters. So. That's a problem. And then the other one, definitely better guests. What else? I think, so what's your answer?
I guess right now I'm in the process. I feel like my social media, with TikTok and Instagram, have really plateaued. Like as far as the number of followers, and so I'm just stuck at again, I'm very thankful. 340,000 followers on Instagram, 120, 140,000 on TikTok. Those are great numbers. Yeah. I'm so thrilled with those numbers, and I love the fans, and I love the interaction with them, but I don't feel like it's trending upwards. I feel like I'm just sort of trapped there at that number, which only doesn't matter to me because of my ego, but it matters to me because I'm in the process of writing a book. And I have a literary agent right now who's out there shopping the book proposal to publishers so I could get an advance.
Right.
And it would be very helpful to have 1 million followers on Instagram rather than 300,000 followers.
Yeah. Everybody needs to go to Instagram and
follow at Simon Investigations, all 800 of you. And I'm doing what I've done from day one that got me from 0 to 340,000, where I tell a 2-minute crime story every single day. And I'm very thankful that you allow me to take clips from your podcast and put it in there because those perform very well. But the numbers, and sometimes the numbers are great. Sometimes I'll get 40,000 people watching a single video in a single day, but it doesn't seem to translate into an increase in followers. And I don't understand what I'm doing wrong. And then I hear from people, and this makes me insane. This mostly happens on TikTok, where it's like, hey, one of your videos popped up in my algorithm. I've been following you for 5 years now, and your stuff used to pop up all the time. And now I don't hear from. Then I thought you stopped making videos because 3-4 years went by where I didn't see you, and now it popped up again. I'm like, I've been making a video every day for the past 5 years, and somehow the algorithm stopped showing it to my own followers. I'm okay if you want to stop showing it to like the grandmothers who aren't going to like what I like, but the idea that it's not being shown to my own followers, I cannot figure out this business.
That is the same. We have the same thing happen in YouTube where guys will tell me like, yo, bro, this is weird. Like I'm followed. And in the last 6 months, it hasn't reported any, or it hasn't none of your videos are showing up. It's like, and I've got the bell, I've got everything hooked up, so I just unsubscribe, resubscribe, re-hit the bell. They're like, I don't know what the problem is. And what can I say? Like, I don't know what the problem is either. It's just...
I know. It's like the problem is that we are at the mercy in both of our respective media empires at things that are outside of our control.
Yeah, and one thing that we haven't done is build like an email list, so we have like a direct communication with everybody in case something happens. But yeah, I mean, and just more recently, like I feel like as time goes on, followers, like you don't even see the people you follow, you just see what you watched yesterday. If you watched this type of video yesterday, you're going to get suggested again, especially in the short form. Any plan to call Danny as a guest on the podcast? We actually had Danny on probably a year and a half, 2 years ago.
Yeah.
So,
did we have him on, or did we shoot?
He came
did he
on.
come?
He came. We posted an episode with him.
We posted an episode, but I thought
it might have been at his studio.
It was at his studio.
Yeah.
Actually, Danny and Hat Rack came here to the studio.
Mm-hmm.
Remember when we first opened? Like we would open like a month or two?
I don't think I was here.
Yeah, he stopped by. Stopped by. I think we might have been building it out still. I think it was done. Yeah, I think it was done. I think it was pretty much done. We were still putting in like furniture and doing little things, but yeah, it was definitely done. It was definitely because I remember it was this setup. So yeah, it was definitely a month or so.
Is there anyone who might get resurfaced for a part 2 of their story?
What about Black Label?
Yeah, Black Label we're gonna have back because he had a deadline, so we had to cut him off right at 2 hours.
The white black guy.
So Black Label we just posted. We'll have back in a week or so. There's some guys that we've considered having back just because it's been so long, and a lot of the audience hadn't seen their original stories. And we have some,
and then some of those guys they told their story, but it was a remote. One, it was really old, and two, it was a remote, and now it's like, hey, it's worth it having this guy come back.
Yeah. And we've also have someone who we interviewed before prison get released, and
yeah, but we're waiting for him to be able to travel.
Well,
because he's
Well, I'm thinking about the guy who was StreamYard.
Colby Cobb.
Yeah,
that's what I'm saying.
Okay.
He's on like an ankle monitor. He can't travel right now.
Yes.
I think that was the issue.
Yeah. So we have some, and then we have some other interviews that we'd like to intertwine together. Like two guys' stories are connected, but
and by the way, I've texted him like 3 times now, and he's completely ignoring me now.
Oh, okay. Well, I mean, either way, I think we could still do the Secret Service agent and him. So here's a $10 donation. Have you tried reaction style content on trending topics, recent events from your FBI brain perspective, Tom? Or fraudster perspective, Matt? I think Google calls it breaking news intent for SEO. And I will say, and you guys can answer too, is like we did do that probably, I don't know, a few years ago.
2-3 years ago.
But yeah, we've kind of focused on the interview stuff as our bread and butter. But we are working on something to do a reaction to your curiosity stream inside the mind of a con artist. And if that does well, we potentially may have like access to use more of their stuff to react to. So, and then I don't know if you guys have any thoughts. Like,
I should do more of it. I did when Diddy was charged. I did a case explaining the charges, and that went bananas. And so I need to do more rip from the headline stuff. I just don't like it because there's generally not a full crime story with a beginning, middle, and end, which is kind of my bias.
Right.
But like for instance, I was stupid for not touching the Nancy Guthrie story when everyone wanted to, because it would have just been like shooting fish in a barrel as far as getting 1 million views. And I just found the whole thing just kind of distasteful. And I was getting asked to go on Fox and CNN and all these stations to comment on the Nancy Guthrie case, but I didn't have a hot take. We didn't know what happened to the lady. And so I was just sort of standing on my perceived ethics. And I look back now and it's like, what were you doing? That was a stupid opportunity missed.
Yeah, you have a unique perspective that it's better than 99% of the audience. So even if
still, but I didn't have a hot take, like what happened to the lady? Fuck if I know.
I mean, I know, but I hear what you're saying, but sometimes they just want to hear you articulate what's happening and what's possibly could have happened and what like even though you think, well, what's the big deal? They can get anybody to do that. Yeah, I know, but they got you to do it. And that means that people are going to look into you and they'll go follow you and they'll go.
Once my book is done and I got to sell that thing, I'm going to go on every show with a coconut bra hula dancing if they want me to. Whatever you want. At that point, I'm going to be like the girl who can't say no.
Can you answer the next few questions?
Yeah.
Let me go to the bathroom.
Yeah. Lay them on me. Give me some questions, and I'll
All right.
I'll solo this.
Send me some questions here for Tom. Tom, any plan for longer format videos on Instagram?
I don't know that Instagram really lends itself to longer form videos, because when I make a video that it's more than 3 minutes, I get a pop-up that says that the video is not going to be pushed out to anyone other than my followers, and which is fine. I love my followers, and they could produce some big numbers for me if they all kind of chip in and watch the video. But the whole idea is to grow this thing. So Instagram is not a great forum for long form videos. YouTube's great. I should do more of that, but I don't. And I'm not really interested in being a podcaster.
And what percentage of your workflow is just split up between the actual PI work or the speaking stuff?
It's a good question.
Yeah.
The PI work has been very slow lately, but I've been able to make up with that income on public speaking and media gigs. I was a technical consultant on a movie, and they asked me to be an FBI agent in the movie. We filmed it last year. It'll be out next week. That was good money. I'm on the speaking circuit right now. So what I'm trying to do, because the private eye work is either super busy, I'm drinking from a fire hose, or it's just dead, and I'm trying to figure out, if they're going to foreclose upon my house. And so what I'm trying to do is get other streams of income in the door, whether it's sponsored content on TikTok and Instagram, whether it's public speaking, whether it's consulting, whether it's writing a book, whether it's doing acting, whether it's going on this game show. So I'm not kind of subject to the natural ebbs and flows of private eye work.
Okay. And so one of the comments said, why doesn't he have a YouTube channel? Tom does have a YouTube channel. What should they search, Tom?
Simon Investigations, but here's the thing. My YouTube channel is just the same 2-3 minute clips. They're shorts that also go up on TikTok, also go up on Instagram. I'm not doing any long form content or like wacky fun stuff on YouTube. My YouTube numbers, I think I have 20,000 followers on YouTube. Very thankful for that. 100% of that's due to the Matt Cox Show. But I'm not doing anything special or unique on YouTube, because I just don't have the bandwidth to produce bespoke content for each social media provider. But yeah, follow me on YouTube at Simon Investigations. I'd be really honored.
And here's an interesting question for an FBI agent. What does signing a confession mean? Is it a formal piece of paper with a letterhead, or is it just a criminal writing on any sheet of paper saying, signing it?
I love this question. Some people, including a dumb young version of me, would hand the piece of paper. After I get the confession verbally from the bad guy, and then I push a piece of paper to him and say, I want you to write it out in a piece of paper. And by this point, they're complying, and they write it out. The problem is that when they write it, they're often kind of like not fully admitting to the conduct of their action, because they're trying to second guess what they do. So I started showing up to the confession with their confession already written out in big font, double spaced. And then because I know what they're going to say, and I know what they did, because I'm not walking into the interrogation without having information about what they did and probably guessing why they did it. And then I go, okay, well, at this point, I want to walk through this statement here for you. And then we go through it together, sentence by sentence, word by word. If they don't like a word or a way something's characterized, we scratch it out, we write the correct word in, they initial it, and then they sign at the bottom. I do it in a very big font. Do you know why I would write the confession out in a very big font? Because juries are filled with senior citizens, and sometimes they like big fonts.
Right.
So, Tom, as a PI in your PI work, other than embezzlement, what's like the number one case that you see the most common
Investment fraud, without question, investment fraud. So people who get ripped off in investment frauds will often hire me to conduct the investigation into the investment fraud, identify who the bad guy is, look at their criminal history, and then often go to the bad guy and tell them that I've conducted this investigation. Here's my investigative report. I'd like you to pay back my client. And then if they choose to not pay back my client, then my client will often ask me to refer the case to my former colleagues at the FBI for whatever investigation they deem appropriate. It's a very good deal for it's a good deal for the client, because they have somebody who's lobbying for them by getting this case to the FBI in the manner that the FBI likes to receive cases. It's also a very good deal for the FBI, who loves getting cases from me, and I have a very good track record of getting them to open my cases, because they know if it's coming from me, it's put together in an organized fashion in the way they like to receive it, and it's not a bullshit case.
Why would a criminal ever sign a confession?
Why would a criminal ever sign a confession? Because I have used FBI and CIA interrogation techniques to break them down and get them to confess to me.
Sounds ominous.
It's not violent. It involves empathy and trying to see the world through their eyes.
I know this question gets asked, Matt, all the time, but when will Frank Amadeo be on the show?
Never.
Okay.
I've never contacted him, never tried to get him, because I know, although I've sing Amadeo's praises, I appreciate all the things that he did for me and did for a lot of inmates, honestly. He's so difficult to deal with and so difficult to pin down. And I also know that it's almost like it's not worth it to try, because you just don't know if he's going to show up. And the second thing is, Danny, who has a much larger podcast than ours, Danny tried for years to get Amadeo to come on, and he did exactly what I thought he was going to do. He spun him, which was always like, I'm currently waiting for my 2255 to be resolved, or I'm in the middle of a litigation on this, and as soon as that's complete, it should be done in a couple of weeks. It's like, you don't know when it's going to be done, and it's just always, it was months and then months. And after a couple of years, Danny was like, bro, this guy's never coming on. I'm like, I told you he's never coming on. Yeah. And that's what, and it's like, what the reason for that is that Frank has a policy of being 100% in control of what's put out there about him. And so I know that in his mind, he will not allow himself to be placed in a position to be sitting here answering questions from me and not want 100% control of the editing process. And so that it would be a whole negotiation. And in the end, he might have us shoot a 4-hour podcast and then Colby edit it and then have to re-edit it and have to re-edit it and have to re-edit it. And then it would be put out. And then any negativity that he got from that, he may come back and say, I need you to take that down. Right. And we'd be like, listen, bro, Colby spent fucking 12 hours editing this. We spent 4 hours. We spent 3 months negotiating with you. Like, we're not taking it down. And Frank will file a lawsuit and destroy you. Even if he's got a losing argument, he'll cost you $100,000 in legal fees to do what? To keep a video up for 4 days, or for, that you're not going to make even enough money to pay a lawyer a consulting fee. You know what I'm saying? Like, in the end, it's like, you know what? It's, if Frank said, hey, Matt, I'd like to be on your show, and he came to me and he offered the whole thing, then it would be like, okay. You see what I'm saying? Like, it is such a, and this is something I've thought about, because many times I've thought of reaching out to him, and this has come up over and over again. But in the end, I know that one of the most agonizing times of my life was the period of time that Frank did my legal work. It was gut-wrenching. It was just a horrible time, because he would miss deadlines, and he would promise you this, and then he'd say, well, no, we're going to do this, or we're changing that. And you're like, Frank, it's due on Tuesday. It's due on Tuesday. Like you missed it. No, we're going to get an extension. You don't know that you're going to get an extension. Like, there's no guarantee we're going to get it. Yes, but we'll put in for the extension, and before they can rule on it, we'll have the work done. And you're like, oh my God, you're walking around sick to your stomach. You're like, this is my chance to go home. Yeah. What are you doing? And it was just agony dealing with them. And even though ultimately I got the best possible result on both 2255s, it was almost worse than waiting to be sentenced the first time. I got resentenced multiple times because of Frank. It was horrible.
So someone said, Tom, I would love to be. Oh, sorry, were you done?
No.
Yeah.
Oh, I'm sorry. Yeah.
Tom, I would love to be interrogated by you, your charming self. I would sing like a canary for you.
It's just like some kind of sex thing. It's a fetish of mine.
So with that being said, here is 2 paid questions. They're both kind of on the same topic, so I'm gonna read them both at the same time. Yeah. Would you ever teach an interrogation techniques for a fee, like a psychologist, but instead of talk therapy, you're teaching role-playing interrogation techniques? And then the same question to Matt, but would you ever teach courses on how to become tasteful, stylish criminal, which I don't know.
Very stylish. Wears a black shirt every day. Very
Yeah.
stylish. The answer to my question is yes. I teach. We talked about my public speaking. I have a speech on how to use FBI behavioral science techniques for business success. There's a block in there where I teach my interrogation method and try to explain how you can use some of the same methods to be more successful in business and personal life. I also have a more kind of how-to class for financial investigators, but people who are more like auditors or HR people who are kind of thrust into a financial investigation, even though they're not police officers, because there's been an embezzlement at the company that they work for, and it's basically how to conduct financial investigations the FBI way. And there's a block of instruction there on interview and interrogation. So anyone who wants to hire me to come speak to your group or organization or club or whatever on interview and interrogation techniques, contact me through my website, simoninvestigations.com. Hit on the speakers link.
Okay, how much does a one-on-one cost? That's what someone's asking. Can you answer that?
I've never done that. The idea of me like going out to lunch with somebody and like mentoring. I guess I'd like to know why you want to know. Is this just for your self-betterment? Are you a cop looking for mentoring? The idea of doing sort of one-on-one kind of tutoring in that regard is nothing I really thought about. I guess if you're willing to pay my day rate, yeah, I'll skim your pool for the money. But
So what's it like being famous for both of you guys?
Matt, you
Did
first. You're twice as famous as I am. Seriously, you're more famous than me. What's it like?
Oh, what's it like? I mean, I hate that question, right? Because it seems so obnoxious for me to even answer. But here's what I tell you is I don't know about being famous. It
Being
initially
recognized, yeah, being recognized.
being recognized. I was going to say initially, I would say initially when people wanted to meet with me, like, hey, I bought your book. Can you meet me? I'll buy you dinner and you sign the book and I'll this and that. I was weirded out by it because I just got out of prison. I was on a bunch of podcasts. People were contacting me, telling me they bought my book, they wanted to meet me, or could they buy me lunch? And I was like, this is really weird. Yeah. And so a friend of mine at the time, her name was Stacy. She told me, and I used to watch Gary Vee all the time, right?
Yeah, I love that guy.
Yeah. So and so she was like. Because I was like, I don't know, this is weird, bro. Like, this guy said this, or this guy did this, and this guy wants to give me $300 to talk to him on the phone for an hour. Like, that's just weird. Like, what are these people who? And because I didn't understand social media at all. Yeah. I lived my whole life like trying to fly under the radar. Like, I don't want to know you people know my name. So anyway, and I had a guy who like, hey, because you meet me for lunch or for he bought me breakfast, and and so Stacy said, look. If you were on the phone, if you could have lunch with Gary Vee, would you? And I was like, of course, yeah. And she said, right, are you a weirdo? I was like, no, but I mean, no, it's Gary Vee though. I'm like, I think he's super cool and I love his attitude and so I was telling him that. And she said, right, you're these guys, Gary Vee. I promise you, she's like, Gary Vee doesn't know why you think he's cool. And you don't know why these people think you're cool and like you. Mm-hmm. But it doesn't matter. She's like, that's you're someone they connect with, they like, they find entertaining. She goes, so stop being such an asshole or such a douchebag about it. She said, accept it, be humble, be appreciative that they even care. And and go to lunch with the guy. Like, he's going to give you $100. You know what I'm saying? Like, it was weird. I was like, he wants you to sign his book.
Is that a service you provide, going to lunch? To
No, I've never gone to lunch for somebody but she was more like, but I have done the thing where somebody wanted to talk to me and I was like, honestly, I never even charge them. What I'd say is like, look, they're like, oh, well, how much is this? But you know what? Send me what you want. Like, I'll get on the phone and say, well, just send me what you want. Yeah. Like, and then they'll send me $300. Like, we talk for 45 minutes. They send me $300. Mm-hmm. Or maybe it's $100. And I like where I've gone and signed a book for somebody mm-hmm. and had breakfast with the guy. And it was like, no big deal. So she said, just do that. And I also had remembered. So once I kind of decided, yeah, just do it. Mm-hmm. Stop being a jerk about it. You should be thankful that these people even want to talk to you. Yeah. And that was before I was really making money. That was before I started the podcast. Right. So one of the things I thought about while I was I was like, if you're going to do this, and I thought about Red Bull. This guy Red Bull I was locked up with, not the drink. Yeah. So I thought about him and how he had told me a story about how he had, when he was deep in his fraud and had tens of millions of dollars, he would go to Vegas and blow, he'd play cards. And he was sitting next to Jude Law one time. Mm-hmm. and they were playing cards, or I don't know what they were playing, whatever, they were gambling. And two women came up to, and he knew he was sitting next to Jude Law. He was like, oh, wow, that's Jude Law. So, and so two women had come up to Jude Law and said, and they were in a private area, but somehow or another, these girls got in around the bouncer person and went up to him and was like, oh my God, I love your movies. Would you mind signing an autograph or taking a picture with us real quick? And he turned to them and he goes, he didn't say this exactly. He said it in whatever the British version of Jesus Christ. Like, can't you fucking see that I'm on my private fucking time right now? I'm gambling. I'm doing something. He goes, fuck off.
Wow.
And he was so belligerent. And so Red Bull was sitting there and he said, I kind of glanced over it. The girls were like, put their heads down and wandered off. And at that point, I think he said somebody came, like a guard or somebody realized what was going on and came and said, hey, you can't be in this area or whatever. And so at the same time, he saw Red Bull, looked at him, and he said, he fucking believe that? It's all the fucking time like that. And Red Bull said to him, he's like, I mean, brother, just wanted an autograph. He goes, you don't fucking understand. You don't get it.
That's awful.
And I remember thinking, and Red Bull was like, so he was because there was like the whole point of that was there was a movie. Somehow or another he came up and he said, I met him one time. He's a douchebag. Yeah. And he told that story. And I remember thinking to myself, and Red Bull and I had a discussion, and I remember thinking 10 years earlier when he was mopping floors and doing odd jobs so that he had the time to go on auditions to be the person he is today, he would have given his left hand to be in that position. And then he achieved it, and even though it may be irritating, he had turned into a complete fucking prick. Mm-hmm. And I remember thinking to myself, boy, if I was in that position, I'd be so graceful and gracious and thankful and appreciative because, like, how much money, like, you make too much money to be a dickhead to the people that idolize you. So during that process of the Stacey thing, I kind of thought about that. And I thought, you know what? If I was ever in that position, I was going to be extremely nice to these people.
Let me push back. Okay, so I agree. And this happens to me, probably way less than it happens to you, that someone sees me at the airport, because I'm always in Atlanta airport transferring planes. Hey, I follow you. I enjoy your stuff or whatever. Take a picture, chit chat for a little bit. I will bend over backwards for that. It tickles me pink.
Absolutely.
The idea of kind of when someone reaches out to me and says, hey, I live an hour from Salt Lake City. I'd love to come have a beer with you or something like that. Well, I'm on a business trip. I just feel a little weird, and I always say no. I just feel a little weird, but not because it's women, not because it's guys, whether it's women or a guy. In fact, most of the times it's guys. I just sort of making a date to meet a fan and hang out for an evening. Usually when I'm on a work trip and I'm kind of cashed by the end of the day, I don't do that. I probably should though, or should I? I don't know. Am I a dick for not doing that?
I'd say 50% of the time I do it.
Yeah.
Oh, if I have time. Like somebody who says, hey, I'm going to come. I'd like to buy you dinner or do that. And it's like, I'll be in next week. And it's like, I'm fucking traveling all week. Or we have podcasts. Like I have 2 podcasts that day. And
I usually
go home
book myself pretty solid on these trips.
Like so I had somebody the other day who said, like, I think he lived in St. Pete. And he said, look, my wife and I would love to bring you to dinner. I know it's a weird request. We'd love to go to dinner with you and take you and your wife to dinner or whatever. And he explained who he was, former law enforcement, blah, blah. And I gave him my text. I said, hey, here's my cell phone. Text me, we'll arrange something. I don't have a problem with that. Like, because he's close, and if it's 2 weeks away, if I could put you on my schedule, I can do that. It's 2 weeks away. You're former law enforcement. You're not a crazy.
I get that. Do you walk into that dinner really excited to spend an evening with a fan, or are you dreading it, or are you just sort of thinking this is the cost of being famous?
I'm neutral.
Yeah.
And I'm not really thinking about that as much as I am the guy that stops me at the airport. The
guy who stops at the airport's the best guy in the world. I love that guy.
Listen. I went to Austin. I told you this already. Yeah. When I told Jess, we may need to move to Austin. I said, because I got recognized in the Austin airport so many times. Yeah. And it was, I would be lying to say that I was embarrassed. It was so much. Listen, bro, I was thrilled.
Yeah.
These guys and they're coming up to me and they're like, oh my God, you're Matt, bro, can I get a selfie? And I'm like, fuck yeah, you can get it. Absolutely. I'm embarrassed that I didn't suggest a selfie. Come here. And then what's funny is it's packed. People are watching. And then people are looking you up.
Yeah.
And then I'm eating, and the guy at the cashier's like, "Hey man, I watch you on TikTok, bro. Yeah, you do criminal stuff, right?" I'm like, "Yeah." And so he gets the food, we shake hands, we whatever. And then while I'm eating, some guy, "Hey man, I watch all your stuff, bro. You're Matt Cox, right?" I'm like, "I am." I'm most impressed when they remember my name because I can't remember shit.
I get that a lot. I get
right.
You're the FBI guy.
Yeah, but it's great,
It's
right?
the best. I love that.
It is the best.
I love that. One thing, when people talk about why our unusual friendship, and I know we're probably wrapping this up, one of the things I say is Matt and I are the same age.
Yeah.
And we both are communicators for a living, and we're both kind of not hangout guys. Neither of us drink. We're not party guys. We're both married, and all that. But also Matt and I are very similar that we're up at like 4 a.m. to like work out or start our day. We're not out partying late at night. But we're not hangout guys who like, hey, let's go hang out, or let's go to or going out to the bar to hang out and like.
No, it needs to be an activity. It needs to be something like the Halloween horror nights.
Yeah.
Right. Like that's an activity, we can
right.
go to.
I'll go to a poker game, but I'm miserable at a party.
Right. But I need to be in line at I'll go there. I want to be in line with someone that I could shoot the shit with and not somebody I have nothing in common with.
Right. But the I don't know, man. I'm just not there yet with the dinner with strangers thing.
You might. I don't think that you would go.
Because I feel like I'd have to perform. I feel like at this point, this person's buying me dinner. Like they've invited me to dinner. It's a nice steakhouse, and now
Do you feel like
now
this
I'm
is
the
a
dancing
performance?
Well, this is 100% a performance because we're on a show.
I don't think so.
You don't think?
I think if you removed all the cameras here.
Oh, you and I know each other though. That's different.
Yeah, but I don't feel like that when it's a guest. I don't feel like that. Even if I'm telling that, I feel like that's why I love this.
Yeah,
I'm doing the same thing that I did walking the rec yard, talking with some guy, or I'm doing the same thing. I don't feel a pressure to perform. I do feel a pressure to make sure that I articulate things that maybe somebody doesn't know. Like if you say something, but that's very seldom.
Are you naturally an introvert or an extrovert?
See, here's what's funny, and Jess has mentioned this before.
Yeah.
This is weird. We went to Bubba's
60th birthday party.
60th birthday party, and I shit you
Hey,
not.
thanks for the invite, Bubba.
Yeah, you got it. Yeah, totally wrong. It was so funny. We were driving there, or we were beforehand. Jess goes, "Are we buying him something?" And I went, "He's a grown man." And she goes, "What do you mean?" I go, "I'm not buying a grown man a birthday
He's
present."
going to give you a cologne and shoes.
Yeah, what are you talking about? I was like, I'm like, no. I was like, he's got everything. He didn't care about that.
Yeah.
And that's what because that's how I feel. Bubba's got enough money. He's bought everything he wants. He has everything. Anything he wanted to buy, he's already bought it. So, that's why Jess always says it's so hard to buy stuff for me. She's like, anything you want, you've already bought.
Yeah,
you're right.
It's tough for non-drinkers because with a drinker, you just get them a bottle of wine.
Right.
But Bubba doesn't drink either.
So, but I tell you, 95% of the time, Jess and I are in the corner by ourselves.
Yeah.
Just talking. Now, and Jess goes, is it weird that we don't mingle? Should we mingle? And I'm like, we can go mingle. And I'm like, but I mean, I don't know these people. And she's like, I know, but I feel weird. We're always by like, do you think we should go? And we had this conversation. I'm like, I'm perfectly fine. If someone wants to talk to me, they can come talk to us. And then, so that was one conversation we were having. And then she said, you know what's funny? She said, you are like an introvert in this setting. She said, but if we were sitting down at a dinner table right now, you would be talking nonstop. She goes, you're great in small, private settings. She said, but in a large group of people, she said, you stay to yourself. Yeah. I wait for people to talk to me because I don't want to go up to people. I don't want to talk to people. I don't know that this person knows me. I don't know that they want to know me. I don't know that they, I feel uncomfortable in large groups of people. I feel uncomfortable, but in small settings, I'll talk your ear off. You already know that.
Yeah. Yeah.
So is that weird? So it's like, what is that?
I don't know either. I like public speaking. I like
I don't
doing
mind
shows
public
like
speaking.
this, but the idea of kind of it saps me to have to go to a party and mix and mingle. I'm just emotionally drained by the end of it.
It's exactly
Whereas
how I
I think extroverts, they just feed off that energy, and I can't think of anything more miserable than like a cocktail party with my dates tennis team and all those husbands there, and I don't know anyone there, and now I need to go. So what do you do? I'm a lawyer. Oh, that's awesome. Well, what do you do? I'm a retired FBI agent. Oh, that's great. What kind of, I had a brother who was in the CIA, and so it's just like I just want to I wish I was in the CIA and I had the hollow tooth with the cyanide capsule that I was cranked down on. I'm just not into parties.
Yeah.
And I'm not into. I love meeting strangers, but the idea of going out and having like a dinner date with like a fan, I'm just not there yet, but I should be.
You know what's funny is that the most interested I am right now is if the idea that you are saying, hey, you're going to the Halloween Horror Nights, and the people that are there are podcast people that you're going with. Mm-hmm. So to me, I promise you, if there's 50 of them, I will be going to people and saying, if I, like, hey, you have a podcast? Well, really, how long have you had it? Well, what do you guys do? Yeah. Like, because I have an extreme interest in that.
Yeah.
I don't think I have I don't know these other people, and I don't know that I'm gonna have an interest. And what happens when you talk to somebody and they say that they're I don't know, who knows, whatever they do.
I own a landscaping company.
Yeah, or they're a school. Yeah, I'm a school teacher, and my first thought is, oh God, that's horrible. That's horrible. Like, I could never.
Well, that's why I invited you to hang out with my podcast friends at Halloween Horror Nights, because I thought you'd fit in fine with them. They're cool guys, and you're in the same industry. In fact, if there's an outsider there, it's me.
Right. So
yeah,
I think maybe that's part of it is that if I go to a party, I don't know anybody, I'm not necessarily interested in, and then that's a tough question. Yeah. That's a tough question.
In wrapping up, I want to make sure that we get your neighbor Tom asked another question.
Okay.
And she did donate $300. So, and then I'll answer any other paid questions.
She did the right thing. Don't discourage this woman.
So, Matt, if you had to design a system to prevent someone like your former self from succeeding, what would it look like?
I can't stand that, because here's the problem. I get this question all the time, and the problem is that you can create a system where there is no fraud. The problem is it'd be so restrictive. It would also restrict tons of people that should actually qualify for those loans. Does that make sense? Like, you could verify every single document in every single application, and you could call every person, and you could go and check and make sure everything's legit and everything that.
You're creating a really bad, expensive underwriting process.
Exactly. It would be very difficult, because then normal people that should qualify would also be excluded, and it would be so overwhelmingly expensive. It would cause a massive expense as far as fees and interest rates and everything else that it would entail, that the loan would become ineffective. You're going to have a little bit of fraud. And the other thing is, I couldn't design anything because a lot of the algorithms and systems that they use right now are amazing. They have all kinds of things that they do that determine whether this is a potential fraud. And so I don't think fraud, it's not cost effective to create a system that stops all fraud. I think you just have to accept that there's going to be a little bit of fraud. There's always going to be some fraud.
It's like policing, right? We could hire 250 million police officers to look over the 250 million who aren't police officers. We could all have an officer.
Yeah, I was saying we could stop crime. We just have to hold hands with your personal police officer all the time. Like, it's not reasonable. It's not.
Yeah.
So yeah.
So this is the last paid comment that I see from SoCal Trucker. I remember on the plane, you was talking to me like we knew each other for 20 years.
This guy was great. He had a podcast. Yeah. I had just started my podcast. I was flying to Los Angeles. I'm fresh out of prison. Mm-hmm. I mean, I haven't been out of prison 3 months, right? I've been out of the halfway house, which is basically still prison. It's the BOP run. So I'm on a plane flying to California to do soft white underbelly, to do all these things. And this guy's huge, by the way. He's like, I'd be 6'6".
Yeah.
He's sitting right next to me. So it's he and I. And there's a girl right across from me. And she's going to California. And she's sitting there with earphones on, like singing and doing this. And clearly behaving in a way that says, look at me, look
Yeah,
at me,
yeah,
look at
An
me.
urban attention seeker.
And I'm looking at her, and I keep glancing over at her because I'm thinking, this is hilarious. This chick's a nut. Something's clearly wrong with this girl. And I'm finding it funny. I'm on a plane for like the second time.
Yeah.
And I'm since I've been out, and I'm just like, this is amazing. Like all these little things that everybody takes for granted, I just thought was amazing. I take my phone, and I actually take a video of her singing because she's got her eyes closed. And I'm like, and I sit there, and I just start laughing. And all of a sudden she turns to me and she goes, "Did you just take a video of me?" And I said, "Yeah." I said, "Over here, you were singing. I thought it was funny." And she goes, "Do you think it's wise that?" She goes, "Do you think it's wise that a middle-aged white man takes a video of a woman?" And I went, and my first thought was, what does it have to do with the fact that I'm white?
Was she?
But she's white.
Oh, okay. Oh, even weirder.
Yeah, and I went, well, I didn't think about it like that. I said,
That's like the worst kind of white chick who begins talking to you
fucking-
like
I wanna just-
about
I know.
a white man.
I'm gonna punch her right there in her liberal head. And I just looked at her and I was like, I said, I didn't think about it like that. I said, if you want though, I said, I'll delete it. And she goes, no, you don't have to delete it. I said, no, I'm gonna delete it. You know what? I said, that was inappropriate. And plus I'm on probation. I don't want you to
don't need
cause a
you don't
fit.
need
And I can already
any
tell
trouble. Yeah.
you're fucking unhinged.
Yeah, there's a Karen.
So I deleted it. I said, I deleted it. I said, I'm pretty sure that's deleted. She's like, yeah. She goes, no, it's fine. Don't worry. I'm not worried about it. And then we start talking, and I realize she's ultra liberal to the extreme, where she's going to somewhere in California to join some kind of commune where they're going to go and teach kids in the urban community how to grow tomato plants or something. I don't know, and feed so that they can this and this. And I'm sitting there going, I don't see a lot of tomato plants in fucking urban people. Where are they growing these?
That's the way out of the ghetto.
Right. And I'm thinking, and don't most of them rent? Like, are you allowed to dig up the backyard? Like, what? This doesn't make sense to me. So I'm having this normal conversation, and I'm realizing she's a little bit more and more flaky, and they're just getting flakier. And then for some reason, we start kind of arguing. Mm-hmm. And this guy's listening, by the way, SoCal, right?
Yeah.
He's listening. And then as we're going back and forth, and this is funny, this is one of these conversations where I'll bet he would probably remember it differently. Mm-hmm. He probably has a better memory. Somehow or another, we start arguing a little bit. And then as we're arguing, she goes, "I'll bet you voted for Trump." Because I'm not, what I'm not doing is I'm not saying, "Oh, that's a wonderful idea. I think we should."
You're not validating.
Right.
Her.
I'm like, really? It's like, that just seems like an odd thing to do. Like I'm not really, I'm still not really great at social interaction with people, and I also don't understand how polarized everybody is, and so I'm still speaking my mind. Yeah. I'm using.
You're fresh out of the joint,
right? But I'm being nice to her, and as we're talking, she says, "I'll bet you voted for Trump." I said, "I did not vote for Trump." I said, "I didn't vote at all, actually." She said, "Yeah, but if you did vote, you would have voted for Trump." And I went, "Oh, I said, I'm not sure. I didn't really pay attention." And I said, and to be honest, I said, I wasn't in a position to vote for anybody. She goes, "Why not?" I go, "Well, because I was incarcerated at the time."
Yeah.
And I said, when he became president. So I said, I didn't really think he was going to win.
In her race to the bottom philosophy, now you have some actual cred.
Yeah. And then she was like, "What were you locked up?" So we start having this discussion, and at some point, she says something about white men and white this and white privilege. And then this guy, SoCal.
Also a white guy?
Yeah. Mm-hmm. 6'6". He's frustrated.
Yeah.
And leans over and goes, what does it having being white have to do with anything? And I'm realizing, we're on Spirit, by the way.
Times were tough.
It's nothing but black guy African Americans and Hispanics.
Yeah.
And he and I, and I mean, and as she's white, people are turning around. They're glancing around. I'm thinking, this isn't good. He starts arguing with her.
Across
me. And I'm like, I don't understand it. I'm also trying to start realizing, like, he's a little bit more loud than I am. Like, he's ready to fucking start swinging on people. And he's going to be able to take them. I'm not going to do well. Anyway, so she kind of peels off and Oh, by the way, she's starting to get tired because she tells me during this whole conversation that she took 2 Xanax and was drinking. Because every time the waitress walks in, she's like, "Can I get another such and such?"
That
And
lowers her inhibitions.
Yeah,
and
she's
so,
getting more and more loud and sleepy. And then so if we stop talking, he and I start talking. And while we're sitting there, I noticed he's editing on his phone. And he has like some big ass Galaxy fucking thing, like it's massive. And he's editing, and I said, "What are you doing?" And he said, "Oh, I got a YouTube channel." I said, "Really?" I said, "I'm thinking about starting a YouTube channel." I said, Yeah. I'm actually going to do a podcast. And we start having a conversation about that. He goes, "I do the whole thing from my phone. I video everything on my phone." And I've actually gone on his channel several times and kept up with the channel and checked it out.
cool.
And he'll do lives, and I've gone in the live. It's just so hard to talk to people, to try and...
Yeah.
And we've texted he's actually getting married in Vegas.
Well, there you go.
He's getting married in Vegas. Because he texts me every once in a while.
Good. That's awesome. I have a much shorter airplane story. It was a couple weeks ago. I'm on a plane. I sit down. I'm kind of doing my own thing, getting my book ready or whatever, and I don't see who sits in front of me. But I can see that it's the back of a very, what I in my brain thought it was a very attractive blonde woman. And then I see her between the slot and the chairs pick up her phone, and she's looking at Instagram. We haven't taken off yet. And she's scrolling through my videos. And I'm thinking, I'm going to give this girl the thrill of a lifetime when we get up. And I'm just going to make sure that she sees me and it registers. And the whole flight, I'm thinking, this is going to be me. I'm imagining what she looks like. I'm like, oh my gosh, she's a goddess. She's the best. And I go, oh, it's going to be so exciting for her to see that I'm sitting right behind her on the plane when she was just looking at my videos. And then so we get to the destination, bing, everyone stands up. She turns around. It's my neighbor down the street. We're friends. It's Angie. She knows me. I mean, attractive woman, but makes perfect sense why she's following me because we're friends. And so that was that was it. But it had evolved into this massive fantasy with this moral dilemma that I was going to wait, you're in Atlanta? I'm in Atlanta.
So Matt, or Tom.
Yeah.
Where can people find you?
Well, finding Matt's pretty easy. If you made it this far, you know where Matt is. But I have a social media presence, mostly on Instagram, but also TikTok, Facebook, and YouTube to a lesser extent, and LinkedIn, at Simon Investigations. And I do these 2-3-minute crime stories every day, some of which are clips from Matt's show where I'm on it, but some of which are just me and my talking head stuff, telling true crime stories from an FBI perspective. And it would mean the world to me if you could follow me. And it would also mean the world to me if you could interact with the posts I do, because I think that tricks the algorithm into showing you my videos in the future, but also pushing me out to new people. And I just want to personally thank the Matt Cox Show for having me on tonight, and thank all the 800 people who showed up, 851 now, to watch us do this live. We've never done anything like this. We didn't know if it would be popular, but I definitely want to do it again.
If we were hoping to hit 1,000.
Didn't
happen.
People suggested Bubba on here with you. We'll see.
Oh
we'll
boy,
see.
that would
all three of us?
Yeah.
Well, you and I wouldn't get a word in edgewise.
No, we'd never be able to talk.
That guy he's a talker.
Yeah. He'd be so upset right now. He'd be like, "Oh, come on, you got
this will get to him, I'm sure."
Yeah. I was gonna say, if not me, but Johnny Mitchell and I started a podcast called The Murder Men, and where we basically, I'd say it's 80% we go over serial killers, and the other part is we go over violent crimes that have are kind of conspiracy theory, violent crime related, right? Like Timothy McVeigh or the Kurt Cobain, suicide, not a murder. But people think it's that there was a murder. So we have these discussions. We go over an hour. It's an hour and a half podcast once a week. Maybe someday we'll do 2 a week at some point. But we just started it off. It's already got 11,000 subscribers. The videos are doing well. So if you want to see Johnny Mitchell and I shoot the shit for an hour and a half, where Johnny Mitchell's coming up with he believes every insane conspiracy that ever, I guarantee Johnny Mitchell thinks the earth's flat. He's one of those guys. So, and so we have these discussions about serial killers or conspiracy theories, and we pick a different topic once a week and we go over it. Please go there and subscribe. Obviously subscribe to this channel. I'm pretty sure everybody here is subscribed. If not, what are you doing with your life? So What else? Anything else? Listen, if anybody can get us on those podcasts or finds a great guest and can get us get that guest to contact us, please do. If you want to be a guest, if you are that guest, then go to our website, which is InsideTrueCrimePodcast.com, and you can go to the Be a Guest page, and you can fill out, it's like 5 or 6 questions, and leave a short video on your story, and we'll get in contact with you ASAP to try and get you, if it's, obviously, if it's like I had a DUI, like that's not worthy of, and maybe it's an amazing DUI story. I don't know, but we need to be able to talk about it for at least an hour. So yeah, please let us know.
For people who joined this live late, Colby, will this be placed up as an episode of Inside
Yes, the
True
live
Crime
will be
Investigators?
up, and this will also be edited as a YouTube video out by the morning. So if you're watching this and you enjoyed this conversation, you want to see it happen again, let us know in the comment section below. And Matt, if you just want to say, see ya.
Yeah. See ya.
Be cool.